All right, everyone. Maybe Matt, you could tell me if you can hear me and get this thing rolling. Well, I'll just assume people can hear me. I'm seeing two people here. Matt was here before I started. Welcome, everyone. As always, it's another Thursday in paradise. HMF Taboo's already here, just 40 seconds into the show. Welcome. All right. What do we want to talk about this week? Oh, mother. C-Snap's in. C-Snap's arrived. What's going on? What's the temperature? C-Snap's in Ireland, correct? What's the temperature in Ireland? Matt's here. Howdy, howdy, howdy back, partner. You know what? If everyone wants to just say their temperature, that'd be kind of interesting where they are. It's not a requirement or a mandate, but I'm just kind of curious with what the past week and the weekend's been and stuff. Thanks everyone for showing up. C-Snap says it's 3 degrees. I'm assuming he is not Fahrenheit though. He's probably Celsius in Ireland. Is that correct? Fake Champ Taboo says, did you hear of the upcoming release of Treasure of Four Crowns, 1983? 1983, looking forward to that one. Temp in Central Texas is 28 now. Matt says it's 28 where he is as well, and PA, I believe. Thank you everyone for the temperatures. C-Snap says weather's been okay lately. Yep, it's 3 degrees Celsius. Yeah, the reason I asked C-Snap and everyone is because in Texas over the weekend they got murdered with single degree temperatures. So, and power outages. But if you've been paying attention in the media the past year, they've been prepping everyone by constantly talking about the upcoming dark winter. I don't really necessarily want to get into it, but there's that. Matt says, I thought Texas was so tough. Yeah, unless it gets below 50, then what's that word? There was some bumper sticker or something, Texas. It escapes me right now. I'm seeing 6 people here. Welcome. There you go. C-Snap, Texas snowstorm massacre. Exactly. Oh, don't mess with Texas. That's the bumper sticker. Yeah. Unless it's under 50, then everyone in Texas is fucked. I was just thinking today, I'm in Minnesota and it's probably I don't know what the hell the temperature is here. I'm asking everyone else to give me the temperature, and I don't even know what. But anyway, I was just thinking how lucky we are in Minnesota, and in places that are more used to cold winters, because what happened to Texas can't happen to us because we're used to it. So it's just like, holy crap. Unless then I was just thinking, well, maybe unless they make it even colder than normal in Minnesota, which I guess is possible. We got Mr. Tight White in here. Green Energy bit us on the ass. Matt says, don't their yeehaw lifted trucks handle well in the snow and ice, huh? Yeah, I don't know. I guess they're finding out, man. I mean, lifted trucks don't help on icy freeway roads. They can be lifted to the sky and it doesn't quite matter if your tires are on ice. Mr. Tight White says green energy is not self-sustaining. 7 people here. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for showing up. Oh, yeah. Matt says I was joking. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I know. But I also, the point being that doesn't matter how lifted or how many horsepower in your truck is if you're driving on ice. But back to Fake Shemp Taboo's comment, I did not hear of that upcoming release. And I've actually, on back to movie topics for the movie channel, I've never heard of Treasure of Four Crowns. What kind of movie is that? Is it a horror movie like we all love here so much? Or what kind? I'm seeing a hitchhiker thumb. Thank you very much. Whoever is putting up their thumb for hitchhiking. I'm not taking any hitchhikers, though, with the current situation of renamed cold and flu. I don't want to necessarily get into it this week, but it's a dangerous world out there. Big Shump Taboo says, oh, okay, it's a cheesy Italian 3D Indiana Jones ripoff masterpiece. Okay, so I take it you're a fan of it. Yeah, I've never heard about it. Treasure of Four Crowns. Yeah, made right after Raiders of the Lost Ark, looks like. When the hell was Raiders of the Lost Ark? Was that 80, 81 or 80? I don't remember. Yeah, it's so funny when there's a movie that is a big hit and then you see all kinds of rip-offs trying to capitalize it. When I worked at a video store, when the hell was it? Oh, it must have been after I worked there. I was still going to video stores, after the Transformers movie hit and was big. You'd have all these movies on the video store shelves, like Trans. I can't remember the titles. They try to be as close to the Transformers name as possible. Robotons, or I'm making that up, but Transmutators. I can't think of the title, but there was something trans something that looked like a Transformers ripoff on the video store shelves. Matt says it sounds like there is some. Oh shit! There's static. There's static. Yeah. Generally, the show's never necessarily sounded that good. Does it sound worse than last week? Yeah. Mr. Tightwide says transgenders. Yeah. That's another topic. Fake Shemp Taboo says 1981 for the release of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah, can anyone else confirm static? If there's static, I don't know if there's really anything I can. Maybe I'm too close to the mic. I don't think there's anything I can do. It's a built-in laptop mic. Okay, Matt says, oh, hold on. First, C-Snap says Raiders is in my top 5 movies. Big fan. Went to Tunisia to visit the locations, Star Wars locations also. Well, that's cool, but you're not necessarily that far from those locations, being in over there on the other side of the world. Matt says, yeah, sounds worse. I can hear your voice fine. It just sounds like there's a noise in the background. Yeah, it could be the fan. C-Snap says The Eliminators. Yeah, that's a movie I talked about in a past show. I grew up with The Eliminators, and I have the double feature Eliminators and whatchamacallit, Dungeon Master, Scream Factory Blu-ray. I've been meaning to review, but Eliminators is a classic Terminator ripoff. Mr. Tight White says sounds fine enough. Fake Shemp says sounds okay to me. Thank you for the updates. Matt says almost like a hiss sound. Oh, okay. Then he says, oh, okay. Then it's my fan. I think what happens is when I start the computer gets hot, and perhaps as the show goes on, it like the fan doesn't have to run as much or something. It seems like. So like right now, I can hear the fans dropping now. For example, it's start. If I was in Texas, the fan wouldn't even need to run at all because it'd be like 10 degrees in the house. But luckily, I'm not in Texas. Matt says transgenders. Watch now on Blu-ray as they transform into a woman back to a man at the snap of a finger. The power of imagination. More than meets the. Yeah, I don't want to get banned. C-Snap says there was a RoboCop ripoff called The Vindicator, and the blurb was "Out Cops RoboCop." Nuh-uh. Yeah, I'm totally familiar with Vindicator. I think is that the one where the guy gets burned, all except his eyes and the skin around his eyes, and he becomes a robot. Yeah, I kind of grew up with that movie. I've got the VHS tape of that. Mr. Tight White says, about to hook up my Sega Saturn and play some Sega Rally. Oh yeah, there you go. Matt says we support transgender, all lives here. I think that's Matt's way of trying to save the stream. Yep, we support everything here. You name it, we support it. We love our transgender and whatever gender you people think. Yeah, we support all 565 and growing genders. Everything is supported here. C-Snap says, yeah, I think so, in referring to Vindicator getting, in some accident and everything burned but his eyes and then the skin around his eyes. Matt said, dude, never played Sega Saturn. Yeah, I'm old enough where I had a Sega, I'm trying to remember. I'm old enough where I had a Sega. Well, I still have a Sega Genesis, but we rented this. Is the Sega Saturn where you connected it to the Sega Genesis and you put CDs in it? Because I rented one of those before, but I never had one. No, I don't think it's better. It's like, I don't think it's better than PS1. Matt asks, is it better than PS1? It's like the precursor to PS1. It's like in between Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and PS1, like the stepping stone. Matt asks, Nate, did you see the last remaining Blockbuster was having a night you could sleep over for $4 back in the summer? They even set up like 90s type living room setup. No, all I heard about was that documentary thing or whatever. I don't think I'd necessarily want to sleep in a Blockbuster, especially with other. Yeah. Matt says, with an old school big TV 90s furniture. Well, that's kind of a cool idea. The thing is, it's funny because in the 90s and stuff, I hated Blockbuster because they were putting the mom and pops out of business. So it's funny how, a lot of movie nerds and stuff regard Blockbuster as being so like, oh, the good old days. Well, I never considered Blockbuster the good old days because they were, putting mom and pop video stores out of business. So it's kind of like I'm not one of those Blockbuster fanboys. My fan is revving up again. Oh, okay. Mr. Tight White says, no, you're thinking of Sega CD. Okay, it's something different. So then, yeah, I don't know what Sega Saturn is. Was that the console that came out after Genesis then? Matt says, oh, okay, that's how Dreamcast was. It was a stepping stone to PS2. Yeah, I guess I'm wrong about Sega Saturn. I can't speak on it. Matt says, no, it was just you and your family. Oh, okay. So you'd rent it for yourself and whoever you knew or something, and it wouldn't be a bunch of geeks sleeping in the store together. Well, that's better. Not that I need to sleep in the last Blockbuster, but Mr. Tight White says Saturn had a better Jurassic Park release. Shoot 'em up. I'm assuming you mean Jurassic Park when you say JP. Shoot 'em up than PS1, in my opinion. C-Snap says, have to say the worst movie I've seen in a long time was Us. Oh man, I actually liked it. I was surprised with Us. But that's okay. We all can't like the same thing. May I ask what you didn't like about Us? The movie Us? Which is fine. I mean, we all have the Mr. Tight White says yes, and since I'm like 2 minutes behind, I don't know what the hell he's saying. Yes to Sega Saturn. I think he's saying yes to Saturn was the console that came after Genesis. So was that on a disc then or a cartridge? Matt says C-Snap. Don't you think that might be a little racist considering the director was a oppressed African American man? I'm assuming he's just joking. Oh God. Fake Shemp says, I saw your old video when you had a friend go into a mom and pop video store recording on old VHS cam. That was awesome. Yeah, I think that's my most highly viewed video on my channel. It's something about, well, all you got to do is look at my most popular video and you'll find it. Yeah, that was great. That was exactly what I'm talking about. One of my favorite video stores from when I was a teenager. It was the kind of video store that was there since the beginning of video stores. C-Snap says, laugh out loud at Matt. Mr. Oh, Tight White says JP is Japan. C-Snap says no, probably in reacting to me actually liking the movie. Yeah, I reviewed the movie. If anyone wants to check out the review at some point, I was surprised by it. I liked it. I thought it was fun. So, I mean, I didn't like every aspect about it, but overall, I was surprised by it. So, I hope that's not going to make me lose fans. Matt says, I don't like any movies that dude made, to be honest. Yeah, I didn't like Get Out. I didn't like Get Out at all. Matt then says Jordan Peele or whatever his name is, trash. Matt also says, did you watch It Follows? No, I don't want to pay to see it after watching another recommended movie that I already owned by the name of Legend. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to pay for any recommendations in case I hate it as much as Legend. Legend I already owned, so it wasn't a big deal. But, I mean, if someone can point me to a place where I can see It Follows free, I'd gladly watch it. To be honest, I watched the trailer and it was just like, oh my God. But, I'm willing to give it a shot. But C-Snap says, just watch 79 Invasion of Body Snatchers. Us even borrowed, quote unquote, borrowed the single leather glove off Leonard Nimoy character. I don't doubt it. Predated Get Out. Predated Get Out to us way better. Oh, preferred Get Out to us. Okay. So C-Snap likes Get Out more than Us. And C-Snap also says It Follows is very good. That's what everyone says, but I'm too cheap to spend money on it. Matt says, yeah, Nate, don't be such a snob. Laugh out loud. It Follows is great. The trailer didn't really do it justice, honestly. Okay, I'm all for seeing it for free. C-Snap says, laugh out loud. One thing for any of you 80s horror movie, exploitating movie fans that I did happen to see because I became aware of the Blu-ray that Vinegar Syndrome released recently is, have any of you heard of, what the hell is it called? Blood Games or something with the hot chick based softball team versus the Rednecks guys? I was like, oh, that looks kind of fun. And I was thinking of buying that. And then I'm like, well, let's see if it's on YouTube. And some kind soul put the Vinegar Syndrome scan on YouTube. So I watched Blood Games, and after watching it, I'm not going to buy it. But I'm glad I could. I'm glad I didn't blind buy it. But Blood Games is in 19. Actually, no, I think it came out in 1990. Low budget, exploitative. It's kind of like I Spit on Your Grave, only it's instead of one woman, it's like a softball team of hot women versus a softball team of rednecks. Matt says, anyone here seen the new Justice League trailer? No, I haven't, but that's just me. I'm pretty much, and once again, this is just me. I'm kind of pretty much done with movies that are coming out now. It's just like, oh my God. I didn't know they were making another one, but okay, so what did you think of the new Justice League trailer? C-Snap says, yeah, it looks okay in regards to the trailer. Matt says, if that link showed up, you can watch It Follows here. And Matt liked the new Justice League trailer. What's the title of that movie then? Justice League Part 2? Matt says the new Justice League trailer is just Zack Snyder cut of the movie. Oh, so it's a Zack Snyder cut of the movie Justice League. I see. And all the footage he actually shot that was thrown out from the original. Okay, I see now. Matt says Justice League Snyder cut. Oh, okay. Yeah, because I didn't think they were making a new Justice League movie. Verisimilitude 86 is here. He says, hi, Nate and company. I just finished revisiting Creepshow. Just dropping by for a bit as I'm hella drunk right now. Haha, okay. Matt says Justice League, the Snyder cut. Once again. Fake Shemp Taboo says, can you remember your favorite blind buy movies? Exterminators from the year 3000 is probably the greatest blind buy for me. In many ways, I prefer it to Mad Max. I mean, it has awesome humanoid. And then there's some kind of green zombie emoji. Oh man, that's a kind of a question I'd have to think about. That's a good question though. I'm not too sure if I can. Maybe it'd be something I'd have to try to think about. I don't know. That's a kind of a good question though. Verisimilitude 86, where are you from again? We all gave our temperatures earlier. If you want to give your temperature, feel free to do so, as this has been a wacky weather week. I'm just curious to see what temperature everyone is. It's their choice, of course, whether they want to reveal it. Yeah, that's a good question about favorite blind buys. I can't think of anything offhand, though, I'm afraid. I feel like I'm letting everyone down. Oh, okay. Well, here's one. I blind bought Blood Rage. You know, that might be definitely on the top or close to the top of the list. That was something that I saw the trailer, a clip or some kind of trailer on the Arrow Video YouTube channel, and I'm like, oh man, this thing I know is going to be great. So I blind buyed the Blood Rage Blu-ray, and it was exactly what I hoped for and more. So I guess that's one I can think of. Seems to me I've watched Exterminators from the year 3000 on Amazon Prime years ago, but I can't remember for sure. I remember seeing that cover in the video store. In the 80s and 90s. Are we still live? I haven't had anyone type anything in chat for a few seconds. Can people still hear me? Matt says yes. Verisimilitude 86 says, okay, I figured you were the one in Melbourne. So you're drunk in the morning? Isn't it like 6 in the morning there? And it's 20 degrees right now. I'm assuming that's Celsius. And that is overnight weather. It's been around 30 most days lately, and that's pretty warm for here. Yeah, I don't know if you heard about Texas, but they got down in the single digits over the weekend. They're suffering. Matt says, we are live. And he says, fuck it, do it live. That must be some slogan for something I'm not familiar about. Yep. Matt says, the poor Texas babies. So isn't it like 6 in the morning in Australia and you're drunk? So is that are you still up? You haven't gone to bed yet? And you've been drinking the morning, the night/morning away? But who the hell said it? Let me just scroll back up here. Okay, pardon me. Fake Shemps asked about the favorite blind buy. Pardon me. Is there any blind buys that you like that besides Exterminators from the year 3000? Verisimilitude 86 says, I've been drinking all night and watching horror with a buddy. I don't drink much, but it's good to do once in a while, let loose. Okay, yeah, I figured, so you're still up. So you're going to have to, the reason you can't stay very long is because you're going to have to go to bed soon. Yeah. Well, thank you for showing up before you pass out. Appreciate it. Pretty good typing. Pretty good typing for drinking all night, I guess. Fake Shemp Taboo says, the man who knew too little. I picked up from Walmart bin and laughed so hard. Okay, yeah, I think I've got that on DVD. I don't remember much about it, but okay, thank you very much. The man who knew too little. C-Snap says, here's a recommendation of if you haven't seen it, Devil's Reign with William Shatner. Great little 70s cult horror. Okay, I haven't seen it. Thank you for the recommendation. Is it on YouTube or free online? Matt, a while back you said if that link showed up, you can watch It Follows here. No link showed up. And then Fake Shemp Taboo says, ooh, love the Devil's Reign. Matt says, you seem higher energy today, Nate. Yeah, we're just slowly creeping out of the cold weather here, and by Monday it might be 40. So we're at the very tail end of the cold freaking winter weather. So that probably accounts for it. How are you doing yourself, Matt? I mean, these times aren't fun. Oh, okay. Matt says, oh, I guess YouTube doesn't allow links. C-Snap says Ernest Borgnine is in it and Tom Skerritt, John Travolta's first movie too. Wow. Huh. I'm surprised I never heard of it. Referring to Devil's Reign. Matt says, tired of this shit, looking to move. Oh, okay. Where are you planning on moving to? Texas? Just somewhere else in your general area or out of state? I mean, you just built the shed. You going to take that with you? Matt says, anywhere cheap, honestly. No, I'm looking out of state. Well, you just built the shed. Or you run out of space in there already. Matt says, nah, I'm not taking the shed. My parents paid for the materials and I built it, so it's there in the shed when I'm gone. Oh, okay. Verisimilitude 86 says, hey, Nate, did the moment in the original Friday where Deborah hears Pam scream, help, and Jason's voice creep you out? I'm always thought it was a creepy moment. Yeah, I don't know if I talked about that in my recent review of the movie that I did, I think in 2018 or 19. I don't remember now when I did my recent reviews of the Friday 13th movies through part 8. That was I don't know if I mentioned it in my review, but that was a thing I always love about that movie. And I contest that the girl who was at the beginning of Friday the 13th, you know, the one who sings the Itsy Bitsy Spider song, is someone's daughter. And I contest that she's the same girl who, you know, it's probably Sean Cunningham's or someone's daughter who actually performed those, you know, who did that. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just what I think. And I always thought that was a creepy moment because it's clearly a real kid's voice when it's supposed to be like Pam's voice. And yeah, it was like, you could look at that either way, that it was Mrs. Voorhees doing the voice, or Mrs. Voorhees had some poor kid and was telling them to say this stuff with a knife to their throat. So that's what I love about that moment, is that it could be either or. But I think it's really like a, 12 or 13-year-old girl, probably someone not, who made the movies daughter or something. But thank you. Yeah, it was a good question. And anything Friday the 13th, I can talk about forever. Matt says, good now. I don't know if you're referring to the sound or you feel better and you're not going to move. C-Snip says, back in a few, guys. All right, we'll probably be here. Fake Shemp Taboo says, I really hope Paramount will discover the alternate ending to part 3 before I'm dead, but I'm not going to hold my breath. I know. So was that said to have been filmed? Because I know that there's like still photos of it. Oh, wow. I'm seeing 8 people here. Thank you very much for showing up. I don't know if we've ever made it to 9. I can't remember. I know for sure we probably never made it to 10, but right now there's 8 people here. Thank you everyone for showing up. Will Powell's here. Summer Hill Cinema. Welcome, everyone. Oh, Matt says, no, you were lagging earlier. Haha. I'm not sure what that means. Behind in chat or my voice was effed up. Will Powell. Summer Hill Cinema's here. Okay, Matt's fist bumping. I think that's a fist bump. Will Powell. Oh, okay. Will Powell watched Funhouse, and he's got an exclamation point, so that looks like it could be a positive sentence. Or I don't know if it's long enough to be a sentence. Matt says the stream was loading while you were still live, so I couldn't hear anything. Okay, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, we're doing this show on crappy internet, crappy laptop, so I guess we can't expect quality. Summerhill, do you get them mini posters up, or are they still looking for spots? Summerhill Cinema 700 recently did a video where he got some mini posters from some website he plugs in his video. So that's what I'm referring to. Yeah, if there's any glitches or anything with the show while we're live or after the fact, it's probably just because my internet and laptop are subpar. But my fan seems to have slowed down, so hopefully the noise that Matt was talking about earlier is down to a minimum or gone. Verisimilitude 86 says, Nate, do you think Jason and Pam lived in the shack Jason has in part 2 together? I want to say Jason built that, after his mom was dead. That would be my fan geekdom thought on that. I don't think Pam and Jason lived in it together, but that's just me. Summerhill says, I got them up. They look really cool. No more space on the walls, though, now. Haha. Well, I'm glad they're up and you found homes for them. Very, very cool. Will Powell says, I thought it was decent and I like the era it was made and the genre, so by default, I usually like it. I didn't love it. A little middle of the road and didn't add up to that much in the end. Still good, though. I hear you. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of it in the 90s when my buddy introduced me to it, but as I got older, I'm like, it grew on me. We all don't have to like the same. I mean, I don't love it, but, I probably like it more than you, which is absolutely fine. Matt says the noise is still kind of there, but I tuned it out like barking dogs or leaf blowers. Those I can't tune out. Yeah, I'm too cheap to, I don't know. I just feel like if this works good enough, I don't need to buy new equipment to do this. Plus, I don't know, how much I'm going to be doing this into the spring/summer. I don't know what's going to happen about that. We shall see. Thank you, Matt, for the continued updates on the sound quality. Will Powell says, good suspense in the first half, and it was a little let down with the climax. Yeah, I can understand that. And I think I said in one of these shows previously that, the Frankenstein mask, in my opinion, should have never come off that freak guy. It just would have been all the more creepy. And then you could, speculate for the decades and decades after it came out, like, I wonder what was under that mask. because I think, you know, in that case, not seeing it probably would have been better than seeing it. Mr. Tight White says, I've seen some of your Laserdisc overview videos. I have 400 or 500 disc collection, lots of horror stuff, found tons of it at Goodwill. Well, that's really cool. Yeah, I used to get stuff. I used to get some of them at half price books. I don't go there anymore. I don't pretty much go anywhere anymore. But I think I've got I don't think I've got 500. So I think you've got my Laserdisc collection beat. I've got some obscure horror stuff like the restaurant video Laserdisc of Last House on the Left, which is kind of fun. I plan to do a lot more of those showcasing of Laserdiscs I got. I'll go through them and show what I consider to be like interesting ones or rare ones and stuff. But Matt says all you need is a cheap mic. Yeah, that's probably true. That might be something I could look into, to be honest. But because I know that the quality is subpar. But then it just goes with the quality of the show, so it all works out fine in the end. Will Powell says, I thought the little brother was going to come in and save the day or something. Ha ha. But his little plot line didn't go anywhere. Yeah, exactly. Didn't he just, I don't even remember what happened to him. Didn't he just get scared and run away and you never saw him again or something? Yeah, shouldn't he have met up with his sister when his sister came out at the end? Matt says, no need for new laptop. Yeah, probably right. Probably just a new mic. Mr. Tight White says, how many subs you got now? I think it's 4. You mean to the channel? It's like 442 or something. Matt says, Nate, just wear your, I'm going to change his word to face covering like a good boy. Okay. Who's this? I put it on now. Oh, I can breathe so much better. Oh, I feel a little faint. If I just stop talking, it's because Verisimilitude 86 says, Nate, do you subscribe to Jason drowning or surviving? And do you agree with Victor Miller saying Jason was a normal kid to begin with and not disformed? Yeah, well, one can, I'd say it's pretty obvious that that whole aspect of the franchise is kind of confusing because let's face it, when they did part 2, the first movie was about Jason having drowned, and as I've said in one of these shows before, as a fan, I view the Jason attacking Alice at the end of the first movie as being just her imagination. So, for all intents and purposes, in the first movie, the boy is dead. And let's face it, it was just a stretch to go, okay, the first one did great. We're going to do another one. Who can the killer be? Oh, it can be Jason. And it was just a cheap thing, a cheap way to go just to make money. And it's kind of like, it's one of the parts of the franchise that you really can't explain. So it's kind of like, yeah, that's just, I guess, bad writing technically. Obviously, I'd say he survived because he's in the second movie, so he didn't drown. Yeah, and the whole, Mongoloid Jason. I guess technically the makeup that Savini did for him coming out of the lake at the end of the first movie was kind of Mongoloid. So I guess it doesn't really matter what Victor Miller says because the makeup they made for him was Mongoloid, I guess. So I guess that answers that question. Matt asks, am I faces? No, but everyone else is. Fake Shem Taboo says, I think the TV version of the Funhouse is a little different. Have you all seen that version? I haven't, no. Matt says, laugh out loud. Oh my God, Nate died. Yeah, I had my face covering on and it protected me from life. Yep, he died of womp womp. Fake Shem Taboo is crying tears of laughter. Will Powell says, gonna watch Puppet Master tonight, I think. Please hit me with some more cult horror movies to watch, 70s, 80s preferably. You all can help. I'll tell you if I've seen it already. Okay, before you shut up, Will, I was just telling everyone that I saw one that I think came out in 1990, and it's on YouTube for free, the Vinegar Syndrome version of it, the Vinegar Syndrome scan of it, which is called, I mean, I didn't think really like it, but since it's out there for free, maybe it's something you could check out, called Blood Games. It's basically a softball team of hot chicks versus redneck guys, and you know it becomes a feud between them, and it becomes, you know, hot softball chicks versus redneck guys for the rest of the movie, killing each other. So it's called Blood Games. I wouldn't necessarily call it any good. The reason I wanted to seek it out is to see if I wanted to buy the Blu-ray, and after watching it for free on YouTube, I decided not to get the Blu-ray. So, but I mean, it's, you know, I guess it's worth seeing for free as long as that Vinegar Syndrome scan remains on YouTube. But yeah, if anyone else in the chat, or you know, wants to recommend some 70s, 80s horror movie to Will Powell, if I think of stuff later on or whatever, maybe I'll let you know later on or something. It's hard to think necessarily of stuff when I'm sitting here in the middle of a show trying to keep up with chat. Fake Shem Taboo says, wouldn't it be awesome if they did a Friday the 13th? Okay, Friday the 13th sequel to Part 5 like they did with Halloween 2018. Okay. What would you have them do? Who would be the killer? Roy's brother? Mr. Tight White says, do you like Jason Goes to Hell? No, I'm afraid not. I think it was, you know, we saw it, me and some friends saw it on opening day, and I can't speak for them, but I was, when he blew up, I was very concerned, and when the coroner ate his heart and became possessed by Jason, I was like, oh my God, so disappointed. Because how cool did Jason look at the beginning of the movie? And then they blow him up, and you've got killer coroner, killer middle-aged, close to retirement police officer, killer news anchor. I mean, holy crap. But to those who like it, more power to you, as I always say. Will Powell says, Blood Games, interesting, haha. Yeah, it's hot baseball or softball chick team, you know, versus redneck softball team. It's got George Buck Flower in there, and really, really pretty. Like, I can only assume it's Northern California scenery, like Endor from same place. It looks to be the same place they filmed Endor from Return of the Jedi. So it's like all outdoors. So there's things I like about it, but it's just like, eh. Will Powell says, is Slumber Party Massacre 2 any good? I've seen the first one and liked it. In my opinion, 2 is the worst one. It's like Slumber Party Massacre meets Nightmare on Elm Street. Like they almost tried to make the Slumber Party Massacre killer like Freddy. I guess that's all I can say without completely spoiling it. If you can see, I don't know. To be honest, I'd probably skip 2 and just do 3. I like 3. In my opinion, nothing as good as the first one, but I like 3 more than 2 personally. I mean, if you can see 2 for free, I'd do it, but I wouldn't necessarily pay money to see 2. But so that's my Slumber Party Massacre advice. Versimilitude 86 says, my Friday the 13th fan film will be the sequel to Part 4. Okay. Oh, that's right. Everyone, Verisimilitude 86 is doing a Friday the 13th fan film. Are you going to have that on your YouTube channel, or are people going to be able to see that? Are you going to speak with? Is everyone going to speak with American accents, or is it going to be Crystal Lake and Australia? If you think Part 8 was a stretch where he went from Crystal Lake, the boat went from Crystal Lake to Manhattan in the same connected water, just wait until he goes from Crystal Lake to Down Under. Matt says they need to make new horror movies that are good and original. Yeah, good luck with that. He beat me to it with his comment that says that won't happen though. Will Powell says, okay, I think it's on YouTube. Yeah, chances are Slumber Party Massacre 2 is. So I'd watch it for free, but I wouldn't suggest paying any of your pounds or quid or whatever the hell money's called over there for it. Verisimilitude 86 says, I saw Jason Goes to Hell in the theater, 2 at the tender age of 7, and even at that age, I knew it was shit. On a Facebook page about it a year ago, I was able to tell Adam Marcus what I thought of it. Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, Adam Marcus, I just recently watched his interviews on the Scream Factory Blu-ray, and, you know, he does his best to, whatchamacallit, defend his piece of crap. Will Powell, I guess, fist bump Haggerty, or Matt, I should say. Matt says, be right back. Take your time. I can't say, I mean, I don't know. I can't say we're going to do this for another 4 hours. I guess we'll do it until, you know, with live shows, you kind of just have to go with the flow of what, of the situation. And if you're having fun, I guess there's no point to stop. While I'm waiting for some other comment, I can just scroll back up. So, Will, you gonna pay for to watch Puppet Master, like streaming or something? I hope you like Puppet Master. I mean, the first one is really pretty cool. Once again, thanks everyone for showing up today. I did this thing which maybe I'll do in the following weeks where I could do it even sooner, maybe 30 minutes, where I scheduled, like 15 minutes before I started, I scheduled the show, and Matt actually showed up before I started. So so that way you don't have to wait for people to show up. So that's kind of cool. Will Powell says, I watched Greenland on Prime the other night. Really great modern film. I was surprised it's about a comet hitting the Earth, family survival. Okay. Yeah, I mean, sometimes there's movies that slip through the cracks that they make these days that are actually good. I've said it in shows, in past shows, that I thought Gretel and Hansel was kind of cool, kind of like almost like an artistic kind of, the way it was shot and stuff was kind of cool. Verisimilitude 86 says, nah, it was be traditional Crystal Lake maybe he means it will be traditional Crystal Lake actors will speak with American accents too. Well, that'll be fun. I will be creating a separate YouTube channel for it. I am playing Tommy myself. Hey, there you go. Well, I can honestly say, as a Friday the 13th fan, I'm very interested in that, and definitely, keep us up to date on that. I'm kind of over the fan films when it comes to, like, the bigger ones, but I'm really interested in seeing someone, who's a part of, who shows up on my channel and stuff. It's more of an interest because we're such good friends. Will Powell says, felt like a Spielberg movie and had no political agenda, just well-rounded characters, very good suspense. And he's referring to, I'm trying to find Greenland. Okay, well, very cool. Fake Shemp Taboo says Slumber Party Massacre 1 is so good. I kind of agree with you, Nate, about part 2 if you compare it to 1, but it makes fun. Double feature with Society from 1989. Yeah, that's a movie that I've been meaning to review on this channel for such a long time, Society. I don't think I have. Will Powell says popcorn fun, but fine with some heart, referring once again to Greenland, I'm assuming. Yeah, I agree with Fake Shem Taboo. I'm such a big fan of the first Slumber Party Massacre, and yeah, you can't compare it to the second one to the first one. It's like I say, it's Austin Wilcutt's here. He says Society, the movie is awesome. Thanks for showing up. I mean, I guess good thing I can say for Slumber Party Massacre 2 is at least, I mean, it's not doing exactly what the first movie did, but since I loved the first movie so much, would have been fine if it did exactly what, pardon me, the first movie did. But for Freddy fans and Slumber Party Massacre 1 fans, they might really like Slumber Party Massacre 2. C-Snap says, any fan of Brian? Yeah, we're just talking about that. Using the Society, I went drinking with him in Dublin, just chatting about, oh, goddamn, horror movies, and of course, Reanimator. Yeah, I like Brian Usna, I mean, in commentaries and stuff. And yeah, we were just talking about it, I think maybe, or whatever, but you heard it or something like that. And yeah, Society is something that I've talked about on the channel, but I don't think I've ever reviewed, which I should, because that's creepy, and there's probably a lot of truth in it, to be honest. But usually movies like that have truth in them are bigger budget. But yeah, the only Brian Usna thing that I can remember absolutely hating, and I've reviewed it on this channel years, and I think it was back in 2012, was he did, during that period of the late 2000s, he was doing all them low budget movies in Spain or whatever, with like Beyond Reanimator, and then, which was okay, but the one I'm speaking of was the dog one. Shit, I can't remember. Rottweiler. Yeah, I can't say I'm a fan of the movie Rottweiler. I did a review of it on this channel, I think, in 2012, and you might want to check it out if you've got time later on. Will Powell asks, "Have I seen It Follows yet?" No, I haven't. I'm open to seeing it for free. I guess I'm a little too cheap to pay to see it at this point. I guess if I can never find it for free, maybe I'll pay to see. I don't know. I guess at this particular moment, right after the debacle of being recommended recommended that I see Legend and hating it, I just don't feel like paying for someone's recommendation right after seeing Legend and hating it. I mean, granted, I already owned that, so I didn't have to pay any more to see Legend, but it was just seeing Legend was such a horrific experience that it might be a while before I don't know, watch another recommendation. Will Powell hasn't seen Society. It seems to be getting some buzz on here. Yeah, all of a sudden everyone is talking up Society. Yeah, that was something that I saw in the early 90s because it came out on home video by, I've actually got the VHS, I think. It was Republic Pictures home video, and the cover was kind of cool. One thing I know it's on Arrow Video Blu-ray, and one thing I can honestly say I'm not a fan of the cover art just being all the, the fleshy combined, slimy. That's like some cover art that's really nasty. C-Snap says he autographed, he being Brian, used and autographed my VHS cover okay, he autographed it. Joe, would you you would make a great addition to society. Oh, okay. Well, for anyone who doesn't know, C-Snap's name is Joe, so that's how he signed it, his VHS cover of Society. That's a cool little thing. You would make a great addition to society. Well, that's cool. That's cool that you got to chat up with Brian Usna. Yeah, see, I think, I've reviewed all of the Reanimator films, and I thought, Bride of Reanimator was a pretty, back when it came out in the early 90s on home video, I was a relatively big fan for a while, or maybe not big fan, a fan for a while of Bride of Reanimator. I mean, it's no Reanimator, but I mean, what can match that? Fake Shemp Taboo says, to see Snap's experience with Brian Usna, that's awesome. Austin Willcutt says, I ordered The Terror Within double feature Blu-ray from Shout Factory. It was limited to 1,000 copies. Very cool. I'm trying to think, that cover art almost comes to mind when I see that the title, but I don't know if I've seen the movie. Yeah, I'm not too sure I'm crazy about the limited to 1,000 copies stuff they do. That's just a bummer. Because then if you don't know about it, when they're doing it and you find out it's on Blu-ray after the fact, then you got to pay through the nose on eBay. And it's just like, ugh. And C-Snap says, referring to his autographed Society cover, yeah, it's cool to have. I don't doubt it. That's really cool. Fake Shemp Taboo says, have you seen Popcorn? Seems similar to Society, but haven't seen it yet. I think I saw it when it was brand new on home video, but I remember not liking it. But I mean, I don't know. As an adult, maybe I'd like it. I don't think I've seen it since. C-Snap was crying with laughter and says, peace. Will Powell says, I watched Children of the Corn a few months ago. Doesn't have a good critic score, but I really liked it. Good plot and liked the location, open fields and lakes, deserted town atmosphere. Yeah, I recently got it previously viewed, the Arrow Video Blu-ray, and I've never been the hugest fan of that movie, but I concur with well, actually, I mean, first of all, young, whatever the hell her name escapes, Linda Hamilton. Is that her name? I think so. Is pretty fun to look at, first of all. And yeah, I do agree about the location. That movie was actually filmed not too far away from me, down in Iowa. So that's kind of what the land around here looks like. So that I didn't even know that until I got the Blu-ray and looked at some of the behind the scenes. But yeah, that's one thing I do like about it, is the small town country aspect to Children of the Corn. But I've never been a huge fan of those movies. I actually, I'm just waiting for someone to put the second one out on Blu-ray. It's like I kind of like, because I kind of like the second one. Like I saw that when it came out on home video in the early 90s, and that chick is kind of hot in it. And there's two hot chicks. There's the hot chick for the son, and then the hot chick that was in that movie I reviewed by the name of Pinocchio, the hot chick for the dad. So there's two hot chicks in whatchamacallit, Children of the Corn 2, and it's just like, oh my God. I think it's on Blu-ray in like different regions or something, but I don't think it's ever come out on Blu-ray in North America, Children of the Corn 2. Will Powell also says, nice to see Linda Hamilton in it as well. He probably said that way before I even started talking about it. Exactly. I mean, how fun is she to look at back then? And I don't know why. Does anyone else get embarrassed when she sings that corny song of that guy? I mean, every time I watch it, I get like red in the face. Like I get embarrassed. Like why do I get embarrassed when she sings that song? It's just like, it's almost like, yeah, I don't understand why I get embarrassed when every time she sings that goofy song at the beginning. Austin Willcutt says, yeah, the limited stuff sucks, but it's probably copyright holders making them do it. Oh, that could be a part of it. I'm not exactly sure why they do it, because I just realized, I don't know when it was. I mean, it was after it was already sold out and inexpensive and stuff, that Sorority House Massacre is actually on Blu-ray. But like now, I mean, I don't want to pay $50 for it. I don't like it that much, but I'd kind of like to have Sorority House Massacre on Blu-ray, but it not for necessarily $50. I don't watch it that often. Yeah. So it's a bummer when that stuff happens. Verisimilitude 86 says my film will jump timelines a bit. It's part prequel, part sequel with some other cool moments. I want to give fans a true part 5. Yeah, that's kind of what I think that, an actual, an actual real Friday the 13th, if they made one again, should do. It should be part prequel and part sequel. So that's a good route you're going there. And I wish you the best of luck with that. And like I say, I mean, I can't speak for anyone else, but I'm definitely interested in seeing that. C-Snap says Fake Shemp, love the name. I always remember seeing Fake Shemp in the credits of Evil Dead. Exactly. Sam Raimi was a big fan of the Three Stooges, hence Shemp. Yeah, I never knew what Shemp meant until just recently, that it had something to do with Three Stooges, and that all makes sense because we all know that he's a big fan of Three Stooges. Austin Wilcutt says, I blame the major studios for the limited bullshit. Could be, because it never made sense to me. Like, why the hell, if there's more than 1,000 people out there that wants to buy it, I still don't understand what's the point of doing it, unless the copyright holders are the ones who are selling them for inflated prices after the fact on eBay. Then it makes sense. But I can't justify paying $50 for a Blu-ray of a Sorority House Massacre. Fake Shemp Taboo responds to C-Snap saying laugh out loud. Yeah, nice little friendly smile. C-Snap says I love the score for Children of the Corn. Same composer as Day of the Dead. Big fan of Children of the Corn. Have the original movie poster. That's cool. Original movie posters are fun. And I agree, the score is cool. Is that I know you guys love it when I sing, and then it goes I'll stop. But yeah, the score is cool. It's like the era of the Amityville, and same thing with like the Amityville music and the Poltergeist music. I think my singing drove someone away. It's understandable. But yeah, original movie posters are fun. Will Powell says, yeah, not saying it was brilliant, but just capture the Stephen King feel. We're talking about Children of the Corn. Yeah, that was always a movie kids talked about, like in high regard and stuff when I was in school and high school and stuff. And then I ended up seeing it. I'm like, there's nothing big about it, but it's yeah. I don't remember. I think it was last year. Pardon me, I don't remember when I got the Blu-ray, but the Arrow Video Blu-ray used. But I've been meaning to, like I say, so much to talk about, so little time. I've been meaning to review the movie and the Blu-ray, the Arrow Video Blu-ray of it. Verisimilitude says my film will have those subtle moments the early films had, like water dripping from outside lamp, etc. You need that classic atmosphere. Oh my God, you sound like a Friday film fan as a dude is going to do the exact same thing I would do if I did one. That's really cool. Yeah, part 2 when the rain's approaching and you see the rain on the leaves and the little, the light hanging off the whatever building and stuff. I can only assume you're going to try to have like rain. That would be really cool. Rain scene. I mean, all you really need to do is just have real close-ups of everyone and just have some, spray hose attachment and just shoot it up into the air and then have it come back down on people. You have to have real close-ups. And the more I hear about your Friday fan film, the more I'm digging it. Excited to see it. Do you have a title for it, or maybe you don't want to give it away and have someone rip it off? Austin Wilcutt says major studios are just dumbasses. There's no clear logic to their business decisions. I can't stand them. Exactly. C-Snaps was probably crying with laughter about my rendition of the theme of Children of the Corn, I can imagine. Austin Wilcutt says, I love the Children of the Corn score. Yep. Austin Wilcott says Children of the Corn 3 has good opening score too. Okay, yeah, I've got that. I haven't seen it for a long time. I remember thinking the black chick was cute. Yeah, that's when the Children of the Corns, kind of went to hell because I mean, Children of the Corn 3, Urban Harvest. Like when they leave the whole scenic country cornfield atmosphere of the first two movies, it's just like Jason going to space. It's like imagine Children of the Corn going to space. Like the children, are in space. What's the he who walks behind the spaceship. Actually, the more we talk about Children of the Corn, the more I might watch it tonight. Just come to think of it, because single digits outside, snow cover, ice on the ground. I feel like maybe Children of the Corn would go good tonight. And since I've got the Arrow Video Blu-ray, why not? But yeah, the one thing I remember when I see the title "Children of the Corn 3," I can, the thing that comes to mind is that the black chick was kind of cute, and I can remember liking the opening scene. Was it some guy in some camper who's got some sickle and there's some thread out there or something like that? C-Snap says on the back of the Children of the Corn vinyl album, was a deleted scene of the children killing the sheriff. He was the blue man that was hanging on the cord crucifix. Love to see a full cut of. Yeah, the cops probably made them cut that scene out. Like, that's not a good thing to be showing in movies, kids killing cops. But that's something I think I learned in the behind the scenes as well. Like, you never knew what the blue man was or whatever. I don't know. I think maybe you can tell it's wearing a police outfit. I don't remember, but yeah, it's too bad deleted scenes. Just imagine how many great deleted scenes are out there, and we'll never ever see them. Just like someone mentioned earlier, they'd love to see the alternate ending of Friday the 13th Part 2 or 3 rather, the one where Jason like cuts off Chris's head or whatever. Verisimilitude asks, Nate, do you consider the horror show House 3, and what are your thoughts on the original film? Okay, I reviewed House on this channel years ago, so that would answer my views, better than I can probably do now, because I don't remember. I'm not a big House fan, so I guess I can't really answer your questions regarding the horror, because I know that there's a movie or whatever, and I guess apparently called The Horror Show, that is also known as House 3. I don't think I've ever seen anything past House, so I can't really even comment on that. I'm not the biggest fan of House. I guess, unfortunately, would be my answer to that. If you want to know more about that, like I say, I've reviewed it years and years ago, but I don't think I've seen anything past House. I've always liked like the poster art for it though, and didn't it have some like great tagline or something? So that's one thing good thing I'll say about House. Austin Wilcott says Children of the Corn 3 is the Hellraiser 3 of the series. Cool, but not as good. Yeah, I'd say Hellraiser 3 is probably a little better, but I think, yeah, that's exactly right. It's so funny how the threes of so many things are that way. We were talking about something else on a past week, and it was the same thing. Oh, I compared Maniac Cop 1, 2, and 3 to like Terminator 1, 2, and 3 loosely and stuff. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Like Children of the Corn 3 is like the last, I don't know, even slightly watchable one, and then after that, same with the Hellraiser movies. Although there's probably fans of Bloodlines, which is fine. It's kind of like, uh-oh. Will Powell says, have you seen the original Straw Dogs from 1971 with Dustin Hoffman? Very nasty, controversial film. I think it got banned. Great home invasion movie set in Cornwall, England, where I live. It seems to me you may have, or someone else may have asked me that before. Either that or I'm having deja vu, but no, I haven't. And C-Snap chimes in. He says Straw Dogs is great. Austin Wilcutt says I can't say this name. Charlize Theron is, oh my God, in Children of the Corn 3? I didn't know that. And C-Snap also didn't know that. Now I kind of almost want to watch it again to see. Not that I'm a big fan of her, really. Oh yeah, that's right. Austin Wilcutt says Naomi Watts is in Children of the Corn 4. Yeah, I think I remember that or something. C-Snap says, Nate, you got to see Body Count if you're a fan of Friday the 13th. Yeah, does anyone know of any free place I can see it for free? Austin says, House 2 is fun, but completely different from Part 1. It's not scary either. Okay, so is it a bad different from Part 1 or a good different from Part 1? I'm assuming by you saying it's not scary, it's a bad different. C-Snap says William Catt was a first choice for Luke Skywalker. Now, is that the guy from House, the first House? Yeah, I can see that. Same kind of look. And was that the guy from Carrie? That takes Carrie on the date or whatever? I can see him. So what was he said to have turned? What didn't he do it? Was he said to have turned it down? Looks like we got 9 people. Thank you very much, everyone, for showing up. I don't think we've ever nine is a big number. I don't know if we've never. Oh, okay. Well, we're back down to 8. But I was going to say I don't think we've ever made it to 10. Granted, I'm not constantly looking at the counter, but I think when you're done, it tells you your maximum people that you've had at any one time. Back up to 9. I'm really behind on chat. Austin says Candyman 3 is Hellraiser 3 in tone as well, so trashy in 90s. Yeah, I've never seen anything past Candyman 2. Versimilitude says I can't reveal the title for the reason you mentioned. It's totally understandable. I wouldn't. And yes, there will be a rain scene as there always was in the early films. I think we both have a very similar view on the franchise. I think you're right. And you know, I totally understand the title, you know, you wanting to keep that under wraps. Yeah, I think we're completely on the same page when it comes to Friday the 13th, or what a fan film, what we'd want to do with a fan film. I'm curious to see how well your American accents on everyone go. That'll be fun. Austin says, I have Straw Dogs on DVD. Not sure why it was so controversial, tame by today's standards. Yeah, they made a big deal about that kind of stuff back in the day. C-Snap says there's an original crayon drawing from the opening title from Children of the Corn on eBay. It's $2,500. That's cool. The thing about those is, you know, I don't know. You never know if they're really the real thing or not, because I'm sure it wouldn't be difficult to recreate it. So, you know, as a potential buyer, I would be wary of stuff like that. And since I'm so behind on chat, C-Snap says yes, House. And I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Oh, I think we're talking about that guy, William Catt. Okay. So, yeah, he's the guy from House and Carrie as well. Okay. And then Austin says, House 2 is a good different, but it's more of a fantasy film than horror. Not bad, just not what people would expect. Okay. Versimilitude says Lar Park Lincoln was in House 2. I don't care for the film, though. Oh, that'd be almost a reason to watch it. She was cute back in the day. And that would have been right around the New Blood years. It's funny because when I first saw Friday 7, I was like 12 years old, and I don't think I thought she was cute at all. But now when I watch it, it's like, of course, she's a young she's young, like really young compared to my age now. So when I look at her now, or when I watch that movie now, she's cute. A little skinny, but Austin says House 3 is kind of scary though. C-Snap says, don't know why he didn't get it, but luckily he didn't. Oh, okay. Well, luckily, wait, why luckily? Oh, you wouldn't like that guy as Luke? Okay, that's understandable. Austin says, I have the first two Candymans on Blu-ray. Yeah, I contemplated getting the first one on, because is the first one, it seems to me it's on Scream Factory. I contemplated getting it, but I never did. I guess I'm not the biggest Candyman fan in the entire world. Looks like we've got Fluffy Furry Buddy here. I remember when Candyman came out in the theater and everyone was saying, oh, it's so scary, you gotta see it. Fluffy Furry Buddy says, watching until I see The Dentist. Remember that movie, The Dentist? I can't say I do. Is that the one with Steve Martin? Which one is, oh, that's Novocaine. I can't, I'm not exactly sure I'm familiar with the movie The Dentist. Will Powell says, I wouldn't say it's tame personally, but I always find 70s movies more graphic and violent, more realistic to me. Could be because of the rape scene. Yeah, there's something about the 70s movies that were just so gritty and they just really went there. And I guess it was just something about that era and post-Vietnam years. Verisimilitude says, yeah, I've been asked about that a lot, and my answer is I'm very demanding director. Ha, 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 ha. Well, that's cool. That's the way to be. I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to, though. Asked what? Asked what? A lot. Austin says, I have the UK House collection, which is out of print. Yeah, I heard about that. That I can only assume that's like Region B or whatever. So that's like the one where it's like they have like a 3 and a 4, and those movies originally weren't called House, and that's the big controversy I think was brought up in this show is do I feel like whatever it's called is actually House 3, but of course not being aware of anything past the first movie, as I said, I couldn't comment on it. Oh, Summerhill, are you still here? I've got a question for you. If so, I won't ask it unless you're here, I guess. Let me try to remember where I am. C-Snap says Susan George is in Straw Dog. She was in a lot back then. Yeah, I think she the chick in Enter the Ninja? I think I know who that is. Will Powell says, yes, very attractive lady. Yeah, she was probably a hot chick in the 70s. I think she was the chick in Enter the Ninja. Fake Shemp Taboo says The Dentist is a Brian Usna film. Oh, okay. So how recent is it? Was it from the 2000s or the 90s? Austin says the House collection is actually region free. Oh, okay. Well, I love when releases are that. That's really cool. Verisimilitude says Lar Park will be playing Tina again in the fan sequel to Part 7 soon. One of my exes looked like her from Part 7 era. So, wow. So because I know that a lot of Friday fan films are getting, obviously, Tom Matthews, and from what I heard, I don't know if this is true. Didn't one of the fan films get Harry Manfredini to do the music, and now they're getting Lar Park Lincoln for a fan sequel to 7? That's really cool. I mean, obviously she looks different, but that's just really cool. Like, all these fan movies and getting actual people who were involved with the real movies in the 80s and stuff. Well, that's really cool that one of your exes looked like her from the Part 7 era. Yeah, like when I was 12, she didn't do anything for me, but now she does. So there. C-Snap says, here's a good 80s thriller, Venom with Susan George, Oliver Reed, and Klaus Kinski, about a snake um, loose in a house. Kinski turned down the Raiders of the Lost Ark to do Venom. I wonder what he was going to be in Raiders of the Lost Ark, one of the Nazis, I guess. Yeah, I've never, I don't think I've seen Venom. Snake loose in a house. One can only assume it was a big snake, otherwise that wouldn't be very scary. Like some huge snake or something. What kind of size snake are we talking about? Oh, Summerhills does say, he says, I'm here just listening right now. Okay, if you're still listening, I'm curious about, you sounds like you liked Hard Target. Do you think it was the unrated one then, with the, when that chick shot the guy at the end at the carnival location or whatever, was, did they cut away or did they just stay on her, just shooting them repeatedly over and over and over and over? Because if they didn't cut away to a bunch of birds flying up into the air, you've got the unrated one. We can only assume you've got the unrated one too. But I'm glad you enjoyed Hard Target. That's a classic. And yeah, John, that was John Woo's first American movie, and really, really great in the action department. And for anyone who's got like a 5.1 home theater or whatever, that sounds so good because it was in the early DTS days. Hard Target. What kind of a name is Chance? My mama took one. Verisimilitude says I was referring to the accents. Oh, okay. So you're going to be demanding on your actors. They're going to have to get those American accents correct. I see. That'll be interesting. That'll be a big part of the audition process. So here's a question. Are you going to do like East Coast North American accents? So because the first couple movies like were, New Jersey, are you going to go for a little bit of like the East Coast North American accent, or just try for generic North American accent? Oh man, that's cool. Austin says Klaus Kinski was such a fucked up guy in real life. That's what I hear. He's so much fun in Creature, the movie Creature. I'm a big fan of Creature. He's so much fun in Creature. Oh, what a creep. I came in from the back. Oh, you like guns? What else do you like? Oh my God. I'm going with Miss Bryce. Fake Shump says The Dentist, I think late 80s, early 90s, and there was a sequel also. Okay, yeah, I've never seen any of them, I don't think. Will Powell asks a question. He says, why wasn't Mark Hamill in more after Star Wars? You'd think after being the main character in one of the biggest trilogies ever, he'd be in a lot more. That's a good question. Yeah, that is a really good question, isn't it? I mean, what he was relegated to, like in the early '90s, if you've ever seen the Flash. Actually, no. I mean, it was okay. So the Flash TV show, and he was the trickster, and he was all in this tight spandex stuff. I mean, it's almost like, oh my God, that was the beginning of his Joker voice. The trick to Mark Hamill was in a couple episodes of the Flash. I actually love the early '90s Flash TV show, but great music by I can't remember her name right now. I think the theme was Danny Elfman, but that one chick who did a lot of great Danny Elfman-esque music did the rest of the music. I wish I could. I don't think she's said to have died, I think. So she's not even. Oh, wish I could remember her name. She did the music for the Batman animated TV show, I think, too. But that's a good question. I mean, I guess, yeah, that's a really good question. Like Mark Hamill was one of the main character in one of the most, the biggest trilogies. That's a really good question. I guess I don't have an answer. Verisimilitude says, I wish I called get Amy Steele's daughter in my movie to play Ginny. She looks just like her mom. That'd be cool. How cool would that be to get frickin' Amy Steele's daughter to play Ginny in your Friday fan film sequel? Oh my god. That'd be cool. I didn't realize that she had a daughter that looked like her. Summer Hill Cinema says, yeah, it was the uncut version. Really cool. I mean, that movie's great, even R, but, it's even cooler with the uncut. Well, I'm glad you liked it, and that's a fun, Hard Target's fun. Austin says, The Dentist came out in 1996. Part 2 was 98. C-Snap says, it was a black mamba snake. There was a hostage kidnap situation going on in the plot for Venom. I think Kinski would have been playing Belloc in Raiders. Yeah, he would have been awesome if he had done it. Yeah, someone could do, if someone has this technology. There's a lot of that stuff on YouTube where people are replacing faces. I don't know what it's called. The name of it escapes me right now, but if anyone could do that, they could potentially put his face on that guy. Wouldn't be, it wouldn't be as good as actually having him done it. Yeah, that would have been cool. So, yep. C-Snap Creature, aka Titan Find. Yep, I did I think a nearly hour video gushing about that movie in the DVD, widescreen DVD release of it. Just like, yep, Creature is Titan Find, one of my guilty pleasures. Austin says Crawl Space is a good Kinski film as well. Yeah, I've never. Is that like a Charles Band movie? Like, I've never seen it, but I think that's an 80s. What the hell was he? What was his company in the 80s? I forget. It escapes me right now. Fake Shemp says Hard Target is such a great action movie. My dad would never rent movies back in the days, so when he rented this, I knew it must be good. Wasn't it great? I've got it on Laserdisc. Yeah, because I got a Laserdisc player in '94, and I think it was new on video in '94. I don't even have it on VHS. I just got Laserdisc and, of course, DVD, and then the Blu-ray, which in North America, to our surprise, turned out to be like the uncut version, which was a really nice surprise. I don't know if Universal even knows about that, but such a fun movie. C-Snap says Crawl Space was good. Yeah, Austin says Kinski's character in Creature was pretty much autobiography of him. Yeah, just hitting on the women and grabbing their ass and their tits. And what else do you like? Yeah, we'll cast him and as himself and put him in a space outfit. Oh, it's so funny. This creature is sly. I love bad movies. That's still a movie that needs to be on Blu-ray. C-Snap says, here's one for you. The Vagrant from 1992 with Bill Paxton and Michael Ironside. Well worth a watch. A cult sleeper. Okay, I've never heard of that, but you gotta love Bill Paxton and Michael Ironside. Huh. Was that straight to video or? Huh. If so, it'd be weird to think that 2 years after being in Total Recall, Michael Ironside would be relegated to being in straight to video stuff. Verisimilitude says, yeah, East Coast accents. When Jason dies, I want the audience to feel it by showing Pam's pain and how hysterical she would be. I'm gonna go Kubrick on that shit. Wow, imagine Stanley Kubrick doing a Friday the 13th sequel. The more you say about this, the more I'm really excited or interested to see it. So that is very cool. Aussie's doing East Coast North American accents. That'll be really, just for that alone, it'll be fun. Austin says, I watched the Bad Dreams / Visiting Hours double feature Blu-ray. Yeah, that's one thing that I should probably check out too. As I said last week, I've got that as well, and have been meaning to review those movies and Blu-rays too. Yeah, maybe that'd be another stuff I should maybe watch one of these days. I talked recently about feeling like doing Children of the Corn tonight. Pardon me. Oh, okay. C-Snap says deep fake. Yeah, that's the stuff on YouTube lately where people are replacing people's faces with other faces. Yeah. Pardon me. Thank you for that info or the term. Pardon me. That's just non-carbonated water coming back up. Austin says Crawl Space was, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Empire Pictures. Crawl Space was made by them way before Full Moon. Yeah, but that was Charlie Band's outfit. That was Charlie Band's outfit in the 80s. CSAP says Crawl Space was directed by David Schmoller. Oh my God, that must be great then. Yeah, David Schmoller did Tourist Trap and Puppet Master. Oh wow, I'm actually interested in it now because the two movies I've seen, David Schmoller movies, Tourist Trap and Puppet Master, are great. Now I'm actually interested in that. Austin says, I have the hard target Blu-ray. So cool seeing it uncut. Yeah, I know. I bought it previously viewed a couple years ago and just expected it. I mean, I think it says R. I didn't expect it to be a different version. And in the opening scene, like there's more footage. I'm like, holy crap. And the more and more I watch it, I'm like, this must be an uncut version. What a great surprise. It's kind of like when the Friday the 13th, the first DVD came out where it was the uncut killing of Annie's death just by accident or whatever. CSNAP says the Vagrant straight to video. Yeah, okay, wow. Huh. Must be a bummer to be an actor and be like one of the main baddies in a huge blockbuster Arnold Schwarzenegger summer blockbuster, and then 2 years later you're in a direct-to-video movie. But I guess as long as you're getting work, I guess they're probably grateful for it as an actor. Austin says, I have the Empire Pictures Blu-ray box set Full Moon put out years ago. I remember that. It's like they took the Scream Factory Blu-rays and made their own artwork or something. I remember that. I was kind of contemplating it, but I never did that. Yeah, Empire Pictures were kind of fun. That was one of the movies that I grew up with was Eliminators, and that was fun. That guy's tank tracks he can change into was such a fun little detail of that movie. Austin says there's a deepfake video with Arnold Schwarzenegger as Dirty Harry. Yeah, I don't doubt it. It seems like there's a lot of those out there. Oh my God, it's so funny when they do videos like when they do de-agings on characters when real studios do it, and then someone just does the deep fake on it, and it actually looks better than Disney's version of some de-aging. It's just like funny. Like if you could redo like Tron Legacy with some of this deep fake technology for the young, what's his name? I can't think of his name right now. For that young version of Flynn, it'd probably look a lot better than that de-aging in Tron Legacy. I mean, not that that's gonna really make the movie much better, but Verisimilitude says, Nate, are you a fan of the Amazing Stories TV show? My two favorite segments are Go to the Head of the Class and Mummy Daddy, both highly recommended, and they have great atmosphere. I don't even know if I'm familiar with that. I mean, is that a show from North America? Is that something? Amazing Stories? I mean, that almost sounds familiar, but I guess I don't know enough about it to. I guess not. I guess I don't. can't be a fan of it if I don't know what it is. So I guess the answer is no. But it sounds, if it sounds like our tastes are very comparable. So if you like it, chances are I would. Mummy Daddy. C Snap says, oh, okay, he's familiar with it and he liked the Mummy story. Austin says, yeah, everything in that Empire set is now out of print. Glad I have it. Oh my God. Yeah, I bet. That set probably would be worth, or maybe not worth, but people would probably pay a lot of money for it. Verisimilitude says, I remember seeing The Vagrant as a kid. Very weird flick. Bill Paxton is the shit. Yeah, young Bill Paxton, pre-Twister. 86 says, yeah, Spielberg produced it. Oh, okay. So, Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I don't think I've ever seen any episodes or anything like that. I mean, how does one go about seeing those now? Is this stuff on YouTube or? It must have been from the 80s then? I'm caught up on chat anyway. Yay. And we're now 1 hour and basically 34 minutes into the show. I guess we pretty much generally go as long as there's a whatchamacallit, a lot of participation, I guess, or until I can't stand it anymore. Like last week, I mean, holy crap, I never thought I'd do a 4-hour show. I wonder if anyone listens to the whole 4-hour show after the fact. C-Snap says there's a guy I know and he's restored Star Wars and Empire cleaned up frame by frame better than anything Disney has done, and he's working on Jedi Next. Check out his stuff. Okay, so he's spelled his name ADW or ADYWAN is his name. So on YouTube, or where do we check him out? Is that his channel name? Verisimilitude says, yeah, 80s. They're on DVD and sometimes YouTube. Okay, well that might be something to look for. Thank you very much for the recommendation. All right, so anyone out there who's into Star Wars, check out ADYWAN on YouTube. And I guess he's doing a better job at. So is he cleaning up the original versions, you mean? Or which versions? Verisimilitude says I listened to the full 4-hour show from last week while I was gaming. Well, that's cool. See, that's one thing I like about the radio shows is that people can just listen to the stuff while they're gaming, cleaning house, driving, whatever. So that's really cool. Thank you for the feedback there. Will Powell says, question for you. Question for you. Ever nearly got into, it probably means never nearly, I don't know what. Or maybe he's meant never, he probably was dyslexic, never really got into, I don't know what they ever, I'll just read it as it's typed. Ever nearly got in a really hostile situation with someone over a movie. Oh, okay. He's asking a question. Okay. Ever got into a really hostile situation with someone over a movie? Remember someone saying Jaws was old and shit? Okay, so Will's a big fan of Jaws. So he must remember saying Jaws was old and shit. I wanted to punch them. Ha ha ha. Obviously I wouldn't. Well, if you haven't, anyone who's listening, either now or after the fact, if you want to see me get really pissed off, just go watch about someone else's completely different opinion about a movie than mine, go watch the review of Amadeus on this channel back when me and Matt used to review movies together. You can see me, I'm not a violent person. I'm not going to punch anyone or anything over. But the thing is, I don't get really mad about it because I understand that different people have different tastes. But if you want to see me getting, I guess frustrated would be the better word about Matt's opinion of the movie Amadeus, please check out that review. And that's probably, but yeah, that's probably the most frustrated I ever was about someone else's completely opposite opinion of a movie. And luckily, it's like on camera as well. So, but I understand that people just have different tastes. So I don't let other people's tastes like threaten my taste. Like I just go, okay, people, like this stuff and I like this stuff. And I don't really let other people's opinions bother me because I realize it's just their opinions, I guess is my answer to that question. Verisimilitude asks, Nate, are you a Vincent Price fan at all? Not huge. I've got the 3D Blu-ray of whatchamacallit? What the hell's it called? It's escaping me. House of Wax. I guess Vincent Price to me one way or another doesn't really. What else it seems like I saw something else with him recently. I don't know. But I mean, it's, I guess what here, okay. Yeah, the question is if I'm a Vincent Price fan. I mean, I guess I don't really care one way or another about Vincent Price. I mean, let's face it, he has that classic voice. Oh, okay. Another movie is that I'm pretty familiar with that he was in was House on Haunted Hill as well. I mean, I like I like him. I wouldn't call myself a Vincent Price fan, but he's definitely got that classic voice, Vincent Price voice. Because didn't he like narrate House on Haunted Hill or something? And yeah, so I mean, I guess that's the answer. I'm not a huge fan, but I mean, I'm not anti Vincent Price. He's just, I appreciate his contribution to the genre, and I haven't seen a lot of Vincent Price movies. C Snaps continuing the conversation about his acquaintance that's working on Star Wars. He's cleaned up Star Wars and Empire all single-handed, added in his own effects, removed some Lucas special edition stuff. There's a comparison side-by-side videos that you can see on YouTube. Well, very cool. Might have to check that out later. Austin says, before I get onto that, thank you very much, C-Snap, for the info on that channel. Yeah, it's amazing what people can do just on their computers nowadays. I mean, they can pretty much make a better special edition than Lucas did himself in 97. Austin says Near Dark is a great 80s Bill Paxton movie. Yeah, that's a movie that I've always known about. Isn't that vampires? And if so, I guess that's probably the reason I've never saw it, because I'm not the biggest the biggest vampire guy. But from what I understand, it's a vampire. Pardon me. A vampire movie. Pardon me. Verisimilitude says, Nate, do you miss going to the video store? I sure do, especially when you would get into a conversation with the clerk or customer. It was like a hangout as a kid. For me, I know you worked at one. Yeah, I've worked at actually more than one. I've actually worked at 3. And absolutely, I mean, it's, I don't know if, I can't remember. Let's see. I don't know if you're the one who brought it up earlier about that video. That's, I think, the most heavily viewed video on my channel. But if you haven't seen that video of us in 1992, looking around the mom and pop video store, be sure to check that out. But I absolutely do miss video stores, and especially mom and pop ones. And it was, yeah, people, people that aren't big movie people, they just don't understand what was lost to us big movie geeks and movie fans when video stores closed. And I can remember being a teenager, and that same video store that's featured in that video that I'm referring to, whatever December, whatever the hell it was, December 19th, 1992, or 18th, I think. Mom and pop video store. That same one, in years prior and stuff, I'd go to, and as a teenager, and dig through their free posters bin, and they oftentimes have free standees as well. And I talked about this, I think, in my review of Child's Play 2 or something like that. I got 2 Child's Play 2 standees from them. One they had used and one that they never even opened. I got like a not a huge fan of the movie, but I got a standee unopened, I think, from them of the. I'm trying to think of the Graveyard Shift. That's it, Graveyard Shift. It was like this cardboard coffin thing, and unfortunately, I don't have any of these standees anymore. I still got the 2 little the Jack heads, from the Sorry Jack Chucky's Back standee, the little Jack in the Box heads, the cardboard heads, but that's all I've got. But absolutely, I miss the video store era. I mean, depending on what kind of place it'd be, if it was a mom and pop place, then they just most oftentimes they'd just be playing a movie on a TV or something, or, they'd have speakers throughout the store where you could hear whatever movie was on. And, yeah, I definitely do miss it. And I will tell you, it was great to, work at video stores during their last years as well. Unfortunately, the last one I worked at, I mean, it was so close to the end of the era that it wasn't very busy. I mean, me and Matt both worked there when it closed, and we helped, close it, unfortunately. And so, yeah, I mean, especially where I am in Minnesota, I mean, when I worked at the more corporate video store, Movie Gallery, I mean, winter time, and it was like, if it was Friday night and it was a blizzard, like, it's like the harder it snowed, the more people would show up to like rent a bunch of stuff to just stay home all weekend. And it was just like, oh my God. Unfortunately, I'm so behind in chat. Unfortunately, with Movie Gallery, it was a corporate situation, so you had to listen to their DVDs. I've actually got a couple of them that I kept. They'd replace their DVDs every month with, the trailers for the new releases, and they'd have stupid commercials and crap. But luckily, when it got loud enough in there with customers and stuff, you couldn't really hear that crap. But I'm so behind in chat. Maybe if you guys could maybe chill out on chat so I can catch up, that'd be great. It's up to you. Oh, okay. So Verisimilitude says Comedy of Terrors is a fun comedy horror movie, or a fun comedy horror Vincent Price flick. Okay. C-Snap says, why haven't you seen Near Dark? Because isn't it about vampires? And I guess I'm not the biggest vampire guy in the world. But I agree, I probably should see it, 80s classic. Because isn't like not only Bill Paxton, but then like Lance Henriksen in it as well. Yeah, I mean, there's stuff that I should have seen long ago, and I just haven't. Austin says, trust me, Near Dark is badass. Get it. We'll see. C-Snap says, Nate, I'm not big on chat speech. I don't know what FFS means. Watch Near Dark. I know what laugh out loud means. If anyone knows where I can watch Near Dark for free, maybe it's on Prime. I'll put it on the list. Verisimilitude says, love Near Dark. Paxton's best role. You got to see that, Nate. C-Snap says, I did 15 years at a video store in Dublin. We had the best selection in Europe. Miss those days. I know. Matt's back. He says, yo, welcome back. We've just been talking mostly movies. Wow. Well, you're lucky to have done 15 years, though, at a video store. Talk about getting your video store time in. What a bummer that those days are gone. Verisimilitude says my dad is responsible for me becoming the huge horror geek I am. Now it's crazy how much time we spent in the video store in the 90s. Well, that's really cool that, you know, you guys have that, or that your dad passed on his horror geekdom to you. Do you guys, like, you know, enjoy the horror stuff together now? Or if so, that would be really cool too. Yeah, my dad, you know, was a fan of the stuff. I mean, he didn't, I introduced it to him. I was more of a fan of horror stuff than he was, but he definitely would watch it and have fun with the goofiness of it. Matt says, I remember you saying working at the video store is the best job you ever had. Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously, when you're working with something you like, even if you're getting paid dick, it's not as bad as working with something you hate. Matt says, did you shed a tear on your last day at the job of video store? No. Well, I got fired from Movie Gallery for, that was my second to my last video store job, for not meeting unmeetable sales goals. And I was just more pissed then. I probably wept after the fact. You know, if something hits me, I don't, you know, break into tears at them immediately. But, you know, the thing that was sucked about getting fired from Movie Gallery is, you know, the thing about a video store, if you get to know customers because they keep coming back and back and back. And what I hate about being fired from Movie Gallery is that, you know, look at it from their point of view. Okay, all of a sudden Nate just is gone, and, you know, I never got to say goodbye. And it was just like, it might sound stupid, but if you know, experience it, if you get to know all these customers, and all of a sudden you're just, without any warning to you, you're gone. I mean, you know, I walked in and they said, oh, before you punch in, come over here, I got to talk to you, which doesn't sound good. I mean, you know what's coming. And it's like, oh, okay, so you're firing me for not meeting unmeetable sales goals. They had this horse shit, you know, I don't even remember what they called it, play guard, basically like insurance. You know, if you break an extra quarter, you know, if you break the DVD, you don't have to pay to replace it. And it was just a racket. And they had a certain amount that employees were required to percentage. And it's like, if no one wanted this, then you're not going to meet the percentage. It's pretty simple. And I'm sure it caused other employees, like I know for sure one of the managers actually fraudulently added it to people's rentals without them knowing it, just to keep his numbers up. And the last video store I worked at was a mom and pop place that didn't have a whole hell of a lot of business. I mean, you never get those crazy. I mean, to give you an example is, I mean, it was always just one person on at a time. I mean, you know, you never get these crazy Friday nights in the blizzard where people would pile in. So my last video store job was not as great as Movie Gallery. C-Snap says, it was a great place to work if you were a movie fan. We had a few actors and directors that were members there. That's cool. Had a, I'm trying to, where the hell did it? Okay, here we go. Had a walk of autographed covers behind the counter. The internet killed. had a walk, like W-A-L-K. I don't know what that means. Had a walk of autograph covers behind the counter. The internet killed. He's crying tears of sadness instead of joy or laughter. Austin says, I remember grocery stores renting out VHS in the 90s. That's true. And then a lot of, maybe not a lot, but some video stores would put tanning beds. You know, they'd be a video store / tanning salon and crap. There's that too. Versimilitude says, Nate, have you seen Cellar Dweller? Very fun movie, not well known. No, I haven't. I think I've heard of that title, and that's a great title. Cellar Dweller. Come down here if you dare. There's so many things. That's why I don't sweat it in regards to not seeing movies they're making now, because there's enough stuff from the good old days that I haven't seen to last for the rest of my life. Matt says, as someone who likes video games, and as much as I hate GameStop at times, it'll suck when GameStop finally closes one day. Yeah, that's the same thing. I don't know if, oh wait, you were here the whole time. I don't know if you were here when I was talking about Blockbuster, but that's how it was for me in Blockbuster. I didn't really like Blockbuster because what it did to mom and pop video stores, but at the same time, when the Blockbusters closed, it was, it was sad. Yeah, so it's basically the same thing. Like, GameStop is like the Blockbuster of the video store, or of the video game, you know, thing going on. So I can understand what you mean, because you hate GameStop like I hated Blockbuster, but at the same time, at least it's got the stuff you're passionate about. So I totally understand that. C-Snap says, yeah, like Cellar Dweller. I think he means he likes it. Matt says, I love going to video game stores because fuck buying games digitally. Yeah, one can only assume. I mean, oh my God. I mean, as a video game guy, do you think that, I mean, at some point, video games will only be digital? I'm not looking forward to that. Not that, I mean, well, it's the same thing, you know, if it happens with video games, the same thing might happen with movies. So, oh my God. Will Powell says, I remember being in a video rental shop when I was 10, and the woman behind the counter told me off for looking at the Aliens video cover. I watched it a couple of years later. I showed that bitch, yep, take this, bitch. I'm going to watch the movie. I'm not only going to look at the cover, I'm going to watch the movie. Take that, bitch. Oh my God. You're too young. Don't look at that. Shoo, kid. Matt says, and it's nice to be in a place surrounded by video games like it was being surrounded by movies. Yeah, I mean, you got to admit, though, just like with Movie Gallery, I hate, the one thing I can't stand about GameStop is just that crap they're playing, you know, just that crap they're playing on the TV and stuff. Oh my God, I think I'm so behind in chat. If you guys can chill out on the chat, maybe it might help me out. Otherwise, I might be an hour before I get to your comment. It's up to you guys. Yeah, so it's like a love-hate relationship regarding GameStop. Like, you probably don't like the company, but at the same time, the company, you know, helps you to do what you want to do, which is like being in a store surrounded by what you love. And then maybe, well, it might not be so easy anymore, but in the olden days, one could potentially talk to people that are there and share their passions for the games and stuff. Austin says, didn't live up to sales goals, referring to my job at Movie Gallery. They weren't making sales, period, as a company because the internet killed them. Well, that's probably part of it. You know, obviously with streaming growing, see, this was in I got canned in 2007, so obviously, I think by then probably streaming was already making a dent, and I'm sure it was them, having sales goals to try to last as, sustain their business as long as humanly possible. But yeah, makes a lot of sense. I mean, I was even like supposedly at that store. I was even supposedly secret shopped by someone, and had a great review from, oh, you were secret shopped by a secret shopper, and they raved about you. You were so friendly and helpful and stuff. And meanwhile, some months later or whatever, you get fired for not meeting unmeetable sales goals. So that really sucked, especially when you can't do anything to about it. Matt says, I personally was a bigger fan of Hollywood Video over Blockbuster. Oh yeah, if I had to choose between one of them, I would have went there as well, Hollywood Video. But I guess my favorite out of the three big ones around where I was Movie Galleries. Movie Gallery used to be Video Update, and then Movie Gallery, I think, was this outfit that was based in Alabama, if memory serves, and they bought up the Video Updates because Video Update knew what was coming and sold them off to Movie Galleries. And yeah, Matt says Hollywood Video had a nice vibe to the store, and I thought they had better deals as well. Yeah, I've got several previously, viewed DVDs that still have a Hollywood Video price tag on them. Matt says, believe it or not, the last place you can rent physical media, and even for free or very cheap in some cases, is at libraries. Oh yeah, there you go. I forgot all about libraries. Well, that's a good option. I checked out some movies at libraries back in the day. There's this really great old movie. I can remember renting the Image DVD of this really great old movie by the name of Rain. Rain as like the rain that comes out of the sky. That's a really good old movie. That's a really great old movie. So I rented some DVDs from libraries a long time ago. Matt also says you can get video games DVDs at a lot of public libraries. Yeah. Good suggestions. Austin says, I don't feel sorry for chain video stores closing when I reflect on their bullshit back then. Yeah, pretty much I'm right with you there. It's like, okay, you're going to have these draconian unmeetable sales goals. Well, you're just going to fuck your, self into oblivion then, mother effers. Matt says, at the rate the shithole society is going, there won't be any stores or anywhere to go in the future. We'll all be just living in fucking pods or some shit. Yeah, it's like I think I said last week, if there are any stores in the future, it'll just be owned by one company. It'll be the store. But, eventually that store will probably close all their store, or they'll probably turn all their formerly, stores people could go to in warehouses. So, it'll be nothing but online shopping in the future. I can see that happening, but I think that, yeah, I mean, there's even talk now about, the past year, actual stores, turning their locations like into warehouses, and more, of course, more people coming to do that. Supposedly, I mean, just because they say it in the news, I mean, doesn't mean it's happening. But the drive up, and they'll bring it out to your car crap, and yeah, you probably won't be able to go to any stores someday, and everything will be delivered by drones and shit flying through the air. Well, yeah, Matt, I'm sure you must have seen the movie. What the hell's the name of that movie? It's hard to remember things on the fly on a live show. WALL-E. I mean, everyone's probably seen WALL-E. I mean, that's pretty much It's kind of like Demolition Man. Wall-E is a vision for the future they have planned for us, where we're all, where people are just fat tubs of lard floating around on these things, and they push a button for red slop or green slop, and they're just sitting in front of screens, and their bones, they don't even have bones anymore because they don't walk. They just float around on their little hover. I haven't seen that movie in a long time, but I know they're riding around on things with screens in front of their faces and just eating constantly. Verisimilitude says, no, sadly, my dad passed away 6 years ago. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. He was the friendliest guy. He loved Friday 13th too. I remember when I started collecting Friday 13th collectibles and other horror stuff. I'll continue on my next comment. Okay. Let me just try to find it. I'll just, let's see, verisimilitude. Okay, here. He said when I introduced you to horror, I never thought you would take it this far. I said, you created the monster and I'll deal with it. Ha ha ha. Well, that's awesome. And I'm sorry to hear about that. It sounds like you had a similar relationship I did to my dad, who left this shithole in 2010, and I'm just so glad he doesn't have to experience what's happening to the world now. I mean, I'd just as soon have him here, but I'm also glad he never had to experience what we're going through now. Sounds like verisimilitude and I have very similar life experiences and feelings on the Friday the 13th franchise. Thank you very much for sharing. When I was saying that about hoping you and your dad enjoy horror movies together, part of me was like, I hope his dad's still alive as I'm saying this, because I don't want to read a sad comment, and I'm sad to say I ended up reading that comment I feared would show up, which is kind of weird. But thank you for sharing your story. Matt says, I don't know why anyone would buy a digital game when you can't sell them back. Yeah, that's exactly why they probably want everything digital at some point, because then it puts all these outfits, like I used to go to home, or what I haven't been there in such a long time. I don't even, Half Price Books. I used to go there to get, used movies and music and stuff. That's just it. If everything's digital, then, they F everyone after the fact because they can't sell it. Once again, I'm way behind on chat, everyone, just to let everyone know. If you're still typing, I might not get to it for an hour. C-Snap says, we used to rent VHS and take the tapes out of their cassette and swap them over into different movies. We put Deliverance into Commando one time. Yeah, I actually, I've done that once. The only time I ever did that was something similar. I rented Godzilla versus Biollante on VHS in the early 90s. It was on HBO home video, and I actually recorded the movie onto, I copied it, and then I opened up the cassette and I took the actual tape out and then put my copy back into the rental because I wanted the actual version and not my copy. I feel bad if anyone, bought that previously viewed. They bought my copy of it. Oh, man. Well, that's a way to F the system. Way to go, C-Snap. Matt says the only time digital game might make sense if you plan on never selling the game and you get a really good deal on it. Other than that, it's just stupid since you can't sell your physical game. Well, that's just it. I mean, if you're going to, have digital games, give us incentive to go digital, like 50% or less cost of it. But, it's so pathetic that, in some cases, digital is the same price, as physical. It's like, what, give us incentive to buy digital. Will Powell says, yeah, that's why she said you're too young. Oh, referring to his looking at the Alien VHS tape. Matt says, yeah, the shit they play on GameStop TV is so goddamn annoying at times. Yeah, I can't even barely stand it. That kind of stuff, just that mindless banter and trying to sell shit and all this and that, is stuff I actually can't listen to for very long before I have to just get the hell out of there. Verisimilitude says, even he said when I introduced you, meaning his dad, when I introduced you to horror, I never thought, oh, okay, I already read that. That was part of his little story about that. C-Snap says, sometimes we'd splice random movie clips in different movies for shits and giggles. We splice clips from Debbie Does Dallas in A Weird Science. Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know about that. That might be going a little too far, because you're renting, if someone's renting this movie with their kid and all of a sudden porn starts. But you got to do what you got to do, I guess. Oh my, yeah, I think that I wouldn't go that far. It's so funny. I've been pranked, back in when I worked at video stores and stuff. I've been, you get prank calls and it's like, oh, we rented this movie and there was a porno inside instead. And, it's just a prank. Well, I think I knew it was a prank, and I just like, I don't know. I just calmly said, oh, sorry about that. Bring it back and we'll exchange it. And like, I don't know. I can't remember how I knew it was a prank. You can just tell. Just so they could try to get some kind of reaction. And I remember I used to ask him, are you recording this? No. Why not? I used to record prank calls when I was a teenager. I mean, he may have been recording it and just said no, but I hope he recorded them, because that's the whole fun of doing them. But my point is that my reactions when I was prank called at video stores were so boring that you wouldn't even want to keep the recording. But there, Matt says, yeah, before the I'm replacing his word with face covering bullshit. I would have many conversations in GameStop stores with random customers and people that work there. Great times that are basically over now. Exactly. Like, oh my God, I don't want to really get into it again this week, but oh no, people, everyone's a threat. Yeah. Oh, Matt, any idea where the hell you're looking to move to? Like, I don't know if moving somewhere warm does any good anymore when they can just turn down the temperature anywhere. That's something I meant to ask you a while back. I forgot. Any ideas where the hell you'd want to move to? Or Will Powell says there was a time when video rental stores went away, and then supermarkets seemed to have seem to have load of old movies to buy for, I think this means £3 each, because he's in the UK, everyone. That was a good period. I remember buying Evil Dead. Okay, well, the transition era, I guess there were some pluses to the video store transition era. I guess that's true. Fake Taboo says it's sad how the mom and pops really care and appreciate their customers, even giving free posters and cutouts, and the penny, or in your case, quarter pinching corporations suck away all the fun. Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, because it seems to me like some of the corporate video stores will maybe have a poster bin and they'll say like $1 per poster or something, when they clearly said on the posters like not for resale. It's just like, oh my God. But that place that's featured in that video, of December 18th, 1992. It was a place that just had plethora and plethora of posters and standees. And I just, I wish I would have been smarter as a teenager and kept some of this stuff. It'd just be so cool now, but unfortunately, a lot of it I didn't.
Hey,
Pardon me. That's water burp. Will Powell says Uncle Buck, American Werewolf in London. Oh, he's continuing his comment. So he remembers buying Evil Dead, Uncle Buck, American Werewolf in London. Well, that's cool. It's always fun to get movies for cheap. That's why I did half-price books for such a long time, like once a week visit, which of course ended last year. But at the same time, I mean, the piles of movies that, was piling up was ridiculous. So, but it is fun to get movies at cheap prices. I was like addicted to half-price books until last year. Fake Shemp Taboo says, yeah, I love walking in Hollywood Video. They always did their best to say warm and welcome, or to say a warm welcome when I walked in. Well, that's really cool. Yeah. Any of you guys, look on YouTube for videos of being in video stores to just try to get as close to the experience as possible? I know there's other ones on there. There's like used to be some video store video from like 1989 and stuff. So, there might be other stuff like that to get us as close as possible back to those memories. Matt says Demolition Man, probably just referring to the way the world's headed. Austin says Hollywood Video went way downhill in their final years, though. Yeah, well, so did whatchamacallit, the place I got fired from, Movie Gallery, because they all of a sudden it got about, suggest selling, the snacks and all this crap, and suggest sell the insurance, and you don't call it insurance because we're not licensed to sell insurance, but it's insurance for the movies rentals. And it's just like, oh fuck, it sounds like a racket to me. I mean, how do you do this insurance for movie rentals when you're not licensed to sell insurance? Don't call it insurance because we can't sell insurance. Verisimilitude 86 says, sorry for your loss, Nate. I feel the same way. As much as I miss my dad and would love for him to still be here, I'm glad he isn't experiencing this shit we all are now. Exactly. I mean, it would have been nice if he could have. I mean, let's face it, we'd probably both rather have our dads still here now, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to say what I was going to say. It sounds crappy. Okay, now everyone will wonder what I was going to say if I don't say it. I was going to say, well, it would have been nice if they could at least been with us through 19, but then it's like, well, if they, we'd still want them. And but I guess to agree with that, yeah, I mean, that's the one thing, comfort I guess I get from him not being here, is that he doesn't have to be here. Thank you for your condolences, and same back to you, because it's a bummer when you've got a strong connection to a parent. And I mean, my dad was my buddy, a couple of bachelors at the time, and fuck the world. Yeah, it was rough. Matt says, I have a few ideas. The main thing is as long as it's not a blue state. Oh, okay. Oh, in regards to where he wants to move. Okay. He also says places like West Virginia, Kentucky, South Carolina, etc. Okay. And he says it doesn't have to be a permanent move. I just need to get out, and maybe I'd move again. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, especially with the way things are going, and I mean, who knows if there's going to be anything that's permanent, or a good permanent, I should say. Austin says the Evil Dead on the original VHS looked like soup. I know, I can remember renting that. And I've actually got one of those. I should showcase it in a video this year. And if I can remember, I will. The clamshell, I've got the original Evil Dead clamshell VHS. And was that, I can't remember, was that, I can't remember who put that out right now. It was either, I can't remember. But anyway, I've got it. And yeah, when we rented that, like in the late 80s, I'm like, we can't even see it. Like you could see the day stuff, but then like everything that took place at night, like you couldn't even see it or hear it. Yeah, the first Evil Dead, VHS was a Thorn EMI. It might be that outfit. I can't remember right now. The Evil Dead VHS was. I should almost watch that just for fun. Oh my God. It was a mess. C-Snap says, first VHS I ever bought was Halloween 2, Amityville 2, and The Brood. He misses VHS. DVD wasn't a great format due to skipping. At least with VHS, you could fix it most of the time. Yeah, working at a video rental place in the DVD era, I can definitely say that VHS was a much better rental format because all some idiot has to do with the DVD is just, put it down and scratch it, or or just grab it with the fingers full of food and get stuck slapped to it, and it would affect the DVD play. That's one thing about VHS as being the better rental format is, most people I would say would, put a tape in and let it play all the way through and that's it. And it is much more difficult to ruin or damage a tape by doing that. I mean, yes, obviously with certain movies, with certain sex scenes or topless scenes, there's going to be damage to the tape around those scenes and stuff. But I'd say for the most case, people probably just watched a movie through, and a tape was much harder to damage if you just, watched it once through and basically just holding a VHS tape and handling it. If you just put it on top of your TV, that's another thing I miss. You can't put anything on top of your TV anymore because the top of your TV is a 1/10 of an inch thick. How cool was it to put, your VCR, plant, and your record player on top of your TV? But yeah, DVD was a bad rental format because people don't know how to freaking hold them or how to treat them. So I agree with that. Matt says, I watch old videos from the past on everything, to be honest. I'm assuming he means on YouTube. Life was just better all around in society. It was just nice to see. Yeah, I mean, shit, it's going to get to the point where people are going to, companies are going to start making money on just like, okay, here's a video from 2018, or 2010 or 95. Oh, look at that. People are at a park. They're flying a kite. They're outside. They're talking to each other. Austin Wilcutt says Movie Gallery did have a good horror section. Yeah, well, I talk about in a lot of my reviews when I have a VHS or something, I'll talk about, having got it at like the videotape sale or whatever, and Video Update that became Movie Gallery, at least where I am, especially on VHS, had an amazing horror section. But I'm not anymore because, well, I bought it all and they're also out of business. But oh my God, before they sold their tapes, I mean, their tape horror section was amazing. And probably so much stuff on there that never made it to DVD, C-Snap says he also, in addition to Halloween 2, Amityville 2, and The Brood, some of his first VHS titles, he also got Star Trek 3 on VHS. Yeah, I've got a video on this channel that shows me at 12 years old. I'm actually showcasing my entire store, but what I call in the video store-bought movies on VHS. So I show you, at 12, all of the videotapes that that were, made. The reason why I said store-bought is because back in that day, I used to record so many movies off TV. So obviously you're not going to showcase, your tape that you taped something off TV. So I showcased my entire, you might as well say, movie collection in that video. I don't even know what it's called. So good luck finding it. I don't know. Just search Nate's VHS collection or something. Maybe it'll come up. It's a black and white Fisher Price camera, I can't even think right now. What the hell was the Fisher Price camera called? Something 2000. I can't even remember right now. I want to say something. Frick. That's the disadvantage of being live. PXL 2000, I think. Fisher Price. Will Powell says, every time I listen to this show, it reminds me how much I miss my childhood. Modern times suck. He's crying. Well, shit. This show is supposed to help with our winter and post 2020 blues, but it's only understandable that that it also makes us. It's a bittersweet show. Huge Movie Fanatics Radio. We talk about good times that will never come again, I guess. It's more bitter than sweet. Yeah, I hear you, Will, on that one. Every time I listen, I hope we don't lose you as a listener, but I can only understand why if that happens. But every time I listen to this show, it reminds me how much I miss my childhood. Modern times suck. Isn't that something? How childhood is just such a great time. I mean, even your childhood can suck. Like, a lot of my childhood did suck, but I still miss it. Austin says Thorn EMI put out. Okay, yep. Evil Dead 1 on VHS, then HBO Canon reissued it. Okay, I'm pretty sure I've got the Thorn EMI clamshell Evil Dead VHS tape. Would be fun to rewatch that. Oh my god. C-Snap says Evil Dead was Palace Video, my favorite. Well, that's probably in the C-Snap is in shit. Is it Ireland, I think? So my favorite VHS cover all the time, I have the original. I wonder what was on the Evil Dead cover on Palace Video. If you'd like to share. Austin says C-Snap, yeah, Palace first released it. Verisimilitude 86 says, I love the Evil Dead trilogy. I remember seeing Army of Darkness as a kid in the theater and being so blown away and wanting to sword fight everyone afterwards. Yeah, me and my mom took me and a couple of my buddies and one of his brothers to see Army of Darkness in the theater. And when they showed when the beginning of it happened and they were recapping with newly filmed footage like the other movies, we were just so freaking excited. We're like, oh my god, look at what that looks like. Oh my god, look at that. And my buddy was like, I didn't know who she was at the time, but what's her name? I can't even think of her name right now. Plays his girlfriend at the recap of the movie in Army of Darkness, and he's like, oh, it's her. And I'm like, who is it? I don't know. I mean, he did, but I didn't. But just the recap of the beginning and stuff, and like I lopped it off at the wrist. It got into my hand and it went bad, so I lopped it off at the wrist. It was just like we were just so freaking excited during that recap scene. We loved it. Army of Darkness back in the day, and I was also so excited as the movie, was before it came out because I had some magazines where it had pictures and stuff, behind the scenes stories and pictures of Army of Darkness. So we were awaiting its release, That's really cool, wanting to sword fight everyone afterwards. Let's go get some plastic swords. So then how old would you have been when you saw Army of Darkness in the theater? C-Snap says Palace was cool, basket case and Eraserhead was on the trailers of the Evil Dead tape. Huh. Matt says, oh my god, in 2019, strangers hug me sometimes. Wow, I've never been hugged by strangers, but that's cool. Well, one thing, I think I've said it before in one of these shows, maybe last week, because one thing I don't miss and I'm not going to miss is handshakes. But I always thought handshakes was nasty, and it was kind of this thing where you felt obliged to do even if you didn't want to, like I didn't. I mean, I was fine with touching like women or girls' hands, but I don't need to touch guys' hands. I don't need to touch guys. So that's one thing I won't miss is handshakes. Matt says, might be unpopular opinion, but I really enjoyed Netflix when it first came out. It was such a good deal, and getting literally any movie mailed to you was awesome. And the online part came with deal. I don't know what that means or if I'm reading it wrong, but yeah, I remember how goofy it was because I'm sure I think I was working at, I don't know when the hell Netflix started. I was probably when I was at Movie Gallery, but I remember being threatened. I was always anti Netflix. I always thought it was so stupid that they. I mean, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I just thought the idea of like getting mailed the DVD rental was just kind of stupid to me. But yeah, it's funny how kids now will they wouldn't even know that was ever how Netflix began. You know, but I remember that. But yeah, as a video store employee when Netflix started, I was kind of like threatened. I was like, uh-oh. Not to mention, I think Redbox was really the nail in the coffin. Pardon me. But thank you for sharing your, it doesn't matter if it's an unpopular opinion. Pardon me, it's your opinion. So if it's unpopular, hell with them. And Fake Shemp Taboo, I think, agrees with you on that. C-Snap says, Ireland, what did I say? Did I say it's another country? When I'm behind in chat, I don't know what the hell I said. Austin Wilcutt says, Tubi is the only streaming I like. Yeah, Summerhill Cinema, I don't know if he's still with us or not anymore, has mentioned in several of his videos that he uses Tubi TV, and that's something I've been meaning to look into because you can't argue with free. So a lot of stuff he saw for the first time he saw on Tubi TV, and then he ended up, if he liked it, he bought the Blu-ray. Austin Wilcutt says, I'm not paying for shit I already own or have seen. Exactly. Fake Shemp Taboo says, yeah, Tubi is actually my most preferred now. Watch Silent Trigger 1996 starring Dolph. I can only assume it's Lundgren recently. That was a fun movie. Matt says they didn't charge you extra for the online part of Netflix. So when Netflix started, could you always watch movies online? Because I didn't know anything about it. So could you mail and or watch something online, or was it not online until later? And then he says it was basically free to watch online. But I can't imagine back then internets weren't as fast, so I don't know. Will Powell says, every time I listen to this, I want to die. Laugh out loud. Just kidding, mate. You the best. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, it's like I say, it's probably always a little bit bittersweet talk, It's like talking about when times were better. Well, shit, if we talk about even a couple of years ago, we're talking about better times. C-Snap says, I gotta go, Nate. Thanks, guys. See you next time. That was fun. Signing, that's Joe. Oh, he signs off as Joe, which is his name. He suggests Near Dark and Body Count. Thank you for stopping by yet again and your suggestions if you're still here. I always feel bad when I get to a comment late and maybe they don't hear me saying goodbye for the week or whatever, but oh well, maybe they listen to it later. Fake Shemp Taboo says later, C-Snap. Matt asks if I was a fan of theme parks. No, I went to one when I was 12 and I saw some kid puke, and that was it. I didn't go back to one until one of my girlfriends made me, and I didn't actually mind it when I went with that girlfriend. But then recently with my current girlfriend, I went back and the rides, I just freaked me out. I don't like that stuff anymore. So I'm afraid I'm not a theme park guy. And plus the place I went most recently and never to go return to again, well, even if it was open, they had speakers with music everywhere, so it's like they'd be playing this music which you couldn't escape, and even with my earplugs in, like it was just too much. What's the word? Just too much audio, too much. I can't think of the stimulus. External stimulation from all of the noise of everyone talking on top of the speakers you couldn't get away from. I had to go out to her car and just sit there until everyone else we went to everyone else we went there with were done and came out, because it was way too much oversaturation of noise. So no, I don't like theme parks. Matt says, I love them, love theme parks as a kid. I wonder how long those will last. Well, I'm glad you were one of the people. Most people, do enjoy them. It's a good question. How long is anything going to last? Matt says they only had a limited selection of online movies on Netflix. He also says it seems the theme is to get rid of anything fun in society. Have you noticed that? Oh, I'm definitely noticed it last year. Yep. Anything enjoyable. Verisimilitude 86 says he was 7 when Army of Darkness came out. Oh my God. So at that time, I can only assume you've already seen Evil Dead 1 and 2. If so, that's a little young to see Evil Dead. Oh my God. I'm not judging. I mean, I personally, as a kid, wasn't ready to see horror movies until I was pretty much late 12 or late 11, early 12. I was too squeamish until that time, but I can't imagine seeing Evil Dead at 7. Holy crap. Will Powell says, nah, man, everything is so full of shit these days. You're a breath of fresh air. Thank you very much. Austin Wilcutt says, I would still ride the rides, even if they were covered with cold and flu. Fake Shemp Taboo says that's what ruins. But do you mean bowling alleys? I think maybe bowering alleys for me. Way too loud with music and colored lights. Complete headache trying to hold a conversation. Yeah, I preferred the old like 80s. I don't know if you're talking about bowling alleys, but I used to like to go bowling before the new trend of loud, visual and audio overstimulation trend of bowling alleys came along. And then I've got, bowling video games on PS2 and stuff that I play for my bowling fix. But yeah, exactly. I don't know if you're talking about bowling alleys. But yeah, like the colored flashing lights and everything, it's like I can't even see where the pins are. The pins. Those are those white things that are actually, oh my God. Will Powell says, totally, man, fun fairs suck. So do nightclubs. Yeah, I never obviously, well, it's not obvious, but I'm not a crowds person, so I get too much overstimulated by all of the people around me, and yeah, so I've never been a fan of nightclubs. I remember going to, I think I was in my early 20s. I went to a bar with a friend of mine who was, a bar hopper at the time, and I remember there was this. I was like, why? I was standing in the entrance there, and I'm like, why am I here? And then there was some fight. There was some fight where some guys were fighting each other, and I was kind of obviously tried to, distance myself, get away from the fight. And later on, he made fun of me for, not wanting to become, battered and bruised by those two people fighting. Like, fuck you. So that was the last time I did that. A lot of firsts were also my lasts in my life. Matt says, oh, fuck. I will miss the hell out of arcades. God damn, as a kid, they were fun. Okay, I can agree with arcades. I did the game arcades as a kid, so I can agree with that. I think when I was a kid, maybe crowds weren't as smothering to me as they are to me as an adult. Maybe I got more, I don't know, sensitive as an adult or something. But I agree with you with like video game arcades as a kid. I'm with you there. Matt says nightclubs were great as a younger lad trying to meet women. Well, Christ, you sound like Will Powell. You're in North America and you're saying lad. I mean, that's fine. Maybe they say that over in the East Coast, but it's just kind of funny that you say lad. It's funny. I'm not. You know what I'm saying. Matt says going home with a chick for a night that you just met definitely makes any bullshit you put up with at a nightclub worth it. Laugh out loud. Yeah, it's something I can honestly say I've never experienced, but I would imagine that was true. That could be one of the things to put up with it for. Good luck ever doing that. Can you imagine what the dating scene is like now? I mean, if there is anything at all, gee, not necessarily want to get into it, but oh man. Austin says, as long as there isn't puke on the rides, I'll do them. Yeah, I'm not. I'm sensitive when it comes to seeing people puke. I mean, obviously, I understand that the majority of people are going to be pro, you know, fairs and rides and stuff. I understand that. I just personally am not a big, at all, a fan of that kind of stuff. Will Powell says, ha ha ha, that's probably why I don't like nightclubs. Ha ha, never been good with the ladies. Well, you'd think, for anyone who doesn't know, Will Powell's like a musician, and you've probably played bars and stuff. And yeah, I don't know. You'd think if you were playing and some of the ladies were into what you were playing or whatever, that would kind of give you maybe an advantage or an in if you like, being the talented musician guy. But sounds like possibly not the case. Fake Shemp Taboo says, yeah, bowling he was referring to, and he even left us a little bowling ball and some pins emoji. That's cool. I actually found an emoji I like. Matt says to Will Powell, that's the only reason a straight man goes to a nightclub, honestly. He also says, no dude cares about the dancing or that other shit. Yeah, that's probably true. Versimilitude 86 says, my dad was very liberal with letting me watch most things. Yes, I'd already seen the first two Evil Deads at 7. Oh my God. Movies, or two Evil Dead movies. And yes, they scared the shit out of me, but not bragging. I wasn't your average kid. Yeah, well, that's cool. Yeah, as I said, I was a pansy for scary movies until I was pretty much 12. He also says my dad knew I could take it, and he would explain before watching horror that it was all movie magic. That sounds fair. That sounds like a good way to do it. Will Powell says, very true, I guess. I'd rather go cinema or the pub. In all fairness, I'd have had some good nights in them, but maybe I'm getting too old and grumpy, huh? Well, it doesn't matter what we're getting like. I mean, I think the opportunities are pretty much going to be over with, or at least for this year. I don't know what they have planned for us in the future, but I think one thing we can all agree on, not to get back into it very briefly, is that whatever they have planned for us is not going to be any fun for any of us. Matt says, since I always lived outside of Philadelphia, we used to go to the Jersey Shore lot as a kid, and they have arcades on the boardwalk. Those were amazing. I can only imagine that. Oh my God. Yeah, it's funny thinking back to it, how, when I was a kid, the arcade full of a loud arcade, video game arcade full of kids and loud machines and stuff didn't faze me. Guess I got sensitive and pansy as I got older to, crowds and just oversaturation of just sound. Verisimilitude 86 says the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre was one he wasn't okay with me watching until I was 9. And it still fucked me up. Oh no. So when you say fucked me up, what did it do to you? Yeah, I saw that when I was pretty much 11, just going on 12, Chainsaw. That's one of the first horror movies I saw, along with like Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street 1 and 2. Definitely fond memories for that. Matt says, women are like men. They mainly care about looks, so even if you play out as a musician, it won't matter much if you don't look good or at least enough. Yeah, well, unfortunately, some women can be like that. Will Powell says, arcades were fun. I'm referring to the fun fairs where it's like a road show and the rides looks very unsafe and unorganized. They were usually run by travelers. So, yeah, carnivals, basically. Yeah. Yeah, I can remember, liking fairs and stuff when I was a kid. We never really did theme parks. We did those fairs like you're talking about where people bring all the rides and stuff. I remember, liking that and double Ferris wheel and stuff when I was a kid and stuff. So again, I mean, I guess I liked rides when I was a kid. And as an adult, I'm just fuck everything. Not everything, but anything fun. I'm just kidding. But I guess as an adult, my senses are like getting better. And it's like, I don't want to be, rattled and jangled and stuff in these rides and go upside down and all that crap. Matt says, I think I watched my first R-rated horror movie at like 5. Yeah, I can remember. I went to the drive-in and saw Aliens, the second one, with my dad, and remember being grossed out by the gore stuff in it. And I also saw Predator. He took me with him to see Predator at the drive-in, and the gore stuff, the blood stuff, and that freaked me out as a kid. So that was just towards the end of like, where the gore stuff in movies was still freaking me out. Matt says, I can't remember which one, but I started then. Will Powell says, the odd occasion I maybe got half lucky. Well, half lucky is better than no lucky, I guess. I'm seeing 3 hitchhike thumbs. Thank you very much for the hitchhike thumbs. Unfortunately, I'm not picking anyone up anymore in these dangerous times. Matt says, at Will Powell, judging by stats, those fairs are the most dangerous and have the most injuries. Yeah, that's what I heard years and years later. I mean, if they're dragging the rides around the country and stuff from different locations, setting them up and stuff, they're gonna be the most dangerous. Luckily, I never got hurt on a traveling fair ride, but we didn't do a whole hell of a lot of them. But that's a good point. That technically they're probably going to be more dangerous than the places that sit in one place and people come to them. Will Powell says spontaneous nights were the best. Could start off by chance seeing a friend at McDonald's and, and then say, do you fancy going into town? Unplanned is the best. Those nights were usually fun. Yeah, once again, talking about, good times gone by. Austin Wilcott says, I rode Mr. Freeze and Batman ride in the late 90s. Oh, okay. Was that, I can only assume that was like modeled after that Batman and Robin movie. Oh my God. Will Powell says, or wandering off in a drunk state and ending up hanging out with complete strangers. Okay, well, I've never been a drinker, so I can only assume that's what happens. Are the complete strangers must be drunk too then, right? Otherwise they'd be like, what is this guy doing? Austin Wilcott says, I bet Predator was pardon me. He says, I bet Predator was amazing in theaters. Yeah, I mean, we saw it at the drive-in theaters, so I mean, it's kind of obviously you're dealing with your car sound, so it's not going to be like a normal theater. But I can only assume. I can remember, it was still cool up on that big drive-in screen, but obviously I didn't get to experience the sound, the preferable sound. But Predator, I watched most of it because it didn't start getting gory until a way into it. But once people started getting gutted like Jesse Ventura and stuff. It was just like for me at the time, I must have been 10, so it was still a little bit for me, but I can remember, thinking it was cool. Other than that, I was frustrated about Predator because, then when it came out on home video, I'm like, well, I like the movie, but these gory parts scare me. So what do I do? Do I just avoid the movie or try to look away during the gory parts? So that was the beginning of Nate's basically, I don't know, starting to watch the gory bits of rated R movies, I guess. A little bit of history there. But yeah, Predator looked cool on the drive-in screen. I don't know what the hell it sounded like in a decent theater. Fake Shemp Taboo says, my hitchhike thumbs, referring to my thumbs up, makes him think of The Hitcher, 1986. I think that's what I'm going to watch tonight. It's been a while. I can't say if I've ever seen that or not. Obviously, I'm familiar with it, but I'm not. If I've seen it, I don't think I own it. Verisimilitude 86 says, well, it got into my psyche so much that I can't go longer than 6 months without having a nightmare where Leatherface is trying to hunt me down. Ha ha ha. Oh, damn. That sucks. That's what you get when you see horror movies too young. He also says, damn, I miss the arcade so much. Verisimilitude, aren't you the one who started with us right when we started, like almost 3 hours ago? And you said, or was that someone else who was you were been drinking all night or something, and you weren't going to be on long, or was that someone else? Austin Wilcott says, Mr. Freeze was a huge coaster that went up a high in the air in a giant loop upside down, then back down again and in reverse. It looked nothing like the movie. It was at Six Flags. Okay, so it wasn't based on the movie or anything. Fake Shemp Taboo says, okay, what was everyone's favorite arcade game? Because if I walk into an arcade, I'm immediately looking if they have a Tempest cabinet. Yeah, I'm right with you with that. Another game I liked in the late '80s was the Star Wars ones, where I don't know how to say but if you're familiar with Tempest, hopefully you'd be familiar with the Star Wars games in the late '80s, where it was just there was like one where you were going down towards the end of the first movie, episode 4, going down I can't think, going to try to shoot the thing in the hole, but the game was so, such an, early or an 80s, one of the first kind of games. So it was like the stuff was just like everything was made out of just, green lines or whatever. It's so hard to try to describe, but you probably know what I'm talking about. I liked Akari Warriors a lot. I also liked Rampage when Rampage came out. I played Paperboy and Joust, Spy Hunter. So those are some of the ones I can think of. Seeing that movie recently that I saw, which is Silent Madness, and seeing it features that movie that was so frustrating to us kids in the '80s, that with the cartoon clips they play or whatever, Dragon's Lair or whatever the hell it was called. That game always I thought was just the biggest just cheat, because it was I never understood that game. Oh, another one I used to play in the '80s was Elevator Action. Oh my god, elevator action. But those are some of the games I can remember. But obviously things like Tempest and I'm a big fan of Pac-Man. I just like Pac-Man, Pac-Man and Centipede. So those are some of the ones that come to mind immediately with me. Austin Wilcutt says, I always loved gore even as a kid. Yeah, I mean, there was a certain point for whatever reason where I was squeamish until I hit basically late 11, early 12, and then I was, lay it on me. Then it became a challenge, okay, I want to see the goriest stuff, Will Powell says, yes, they were usually drunk, ha, 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 regarding his people that he'd end up with. I can only assume so. I mean, people that are sober aren't going to just let a drunk person just crash their situation, I guess. Matt says House of the Dead was my favorite arcade game. That was probably from the 90s. I didn't really do the arcade much in the 90s, but that was another one I can remember liking was Altered Beast as well, but I didn't really do the arcade much after the 80s, but that's okay. It's just a generational thing that'll happen. House of the Dead, I can kind of imagine artwork for that game though when you say the name of it. Verisimilitude says I get to see Predator, The Thing 82, Alien, and Aliens, among other classic films, in a classic theater pretty regularly. Well, that's really cool. Geez, Lou. Yeah, I can remember seeing, I don't know if I ever brought it up, but Alien, the first movie, at some showing. And it was like this big deal because I think they said it was like a 70 millimeter print. It was like this big deal. And, that was back in like 2000. So it was before digital movies and in the theater and stuff. And it was a big deal to me to be able to see Alien. That was the first time I ever saw it in the theater. And they were like, okay, some guy went down there before the movie started. And he's like, just to let you know now, the sound is screwed up. And I was like, oh no, this can't be good. He's saying, yeah, the sound, I can't remember exactly what he said, but the sound was screwed up. And it was such a disappointment because that one scene, I imagine it was screwed up throughout the whole movie, but the one scene I can remember was just so screwed up was when Dallas comes down, shines, he's walking through the corridors and he shines his light one way and back to the alien, and the alien, goes and kind of, scares them and scares the audience and stuff. In the theater, there was dead silence when that alien, did his little scream or whatever the hell he did. It wasn't even there. It was like watching the movie while the sound was being added to it and it's not done yet. I should have, if I would have been now, I would have asked for my money back. It's just the biggest joke. It's like, why are you going to have this showing of like Alien 70 millimeter, special engagement and have the sound fucked up? What's the point of that? I mean, obviously they knew it's fucked up because they told us before we saw it, it's fucked up. Anyway, I'm probably way behind on chat now, but that's cool that you get to see those pretty regularly in the theater. The funnest thing is seeing the old movies that are good in the theater. Fake Shemp Taboo says, I think he says nice to Matt's House of the Dead game pick. Austin Wilcutt says the ride was based on. I love these shows. We're having like 4 or 5 different conversations at once. The ride was based on Mr. Freeze, the character, but not the 97 film. That makes sense. Verisimilitude says, nah. Another conversation. That was me, but I have been enjoying the conversation so much I didn't want to leave. Okay, so that was you that showed up drunk and you can't stay for very long and you've been here for 3 hours. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying the conversation so much that you don't want to go to bed. I hope you sleep at some point. And that reminds me, thanks again to everyone who shows up every week to these things. I think we all enjoy it, and I think it's something that all helps us get through the winter, and for people those of us in the northern hemisphere, and not to mention winter, but just the times that we're living in. And I just want to take this time to just thank everyone again for showing up. Not a lot from Summerhill Cinema this week, but that's okay. Maybe he's just listening. He's apparently just listening this week, which is absolutely fine. Maybe he's gone, which is fine. Everything's fine. What's that movie? There's some movie where something's fine. Oh, is that? Oh, that's Evil Dead 2. You're fine, or whatever. Okay. Anyway, I better start reading these comments. Big Shump Taboo says, "Oh yeah, Star Wars. I was so bad at that one. I just watched other people play it. Okay, vector graphics. Okay, that's probably what I'm talking about. Yeah, it was the Trench Run. It was a Star Wars game that was the Trench Run, and the controller was really cool because it was like the controller that was in the movie that they flied the or maybe oh no, never mind. Oh no, I guess it wasn't like the controller in the movie or but it was a cool controller to control the thing, and we'll just leave it at that. But yeah, vector graphics. Yeah, I used to play that where you'd have to go up and down and up and down to avoid the stuff in the trench, and but you just watched other people play it because you were no good. Well, that's too bad. Matt says, oh, those X-Men games were awesome too. Yeah, I can remember a buddy of mine was into because I was never really into comics, so he was into some X-Men games and stuff as well. But I guess I'm just I was just more about the '80s games, like Joust, and Paperboy, and uh, whatever Spy Hunter, whatever I said earlier, stuff like that. And my arcade experience ends pretty much in the early '90s. Austin says now Batman the Ride was based on the 1989 film because you saw images on the wall, clips of the film on a TV monitor, and the score playing while I was in line. Okay. Verisimilitude says Alien versus Predator and Turtles in Time and Galaga are some of my favorite arcade games. Yeah, I forgot Galaga as well. I can remember playing Turtles in Time on NES, but I don't think I ever played it at the arcade. I remember one thing I liked. Oh, I also liked the arcade game RoboCop. It was so frustrating to me. Oh, you know what another cool game was? Legend of Cage, because I was a big Ninja fan. And it was so frustrating when games like Akari Warriors, RoboCop, and Legend of Cage would make their way into the NES system because they'd be so much crappier than they are in the arcade. I remember being so disappointed when I got Akari Warriors on the NES, and compared to the arcade, it was just a joke. And same with RoboCop for NES. Oh, but what I was originally going to talk about is your Aliens versus Predator reminded me of what came out like on the early '90s on Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, RoboCop versus Terminator. Those were cool, and it was like the game was so much different on each of the platforms. Like on Sega Genesis, it was all gory, and RoboCop's gun, he'd shoot people and they'd just explode into blood, and the gun sounded exactly like the gun from the movie. And then NES, like it was weird how those games were completely different on those two systems. Matt says waiting in line for some of those good theme rides was sometimes the best part, honestly. Okay. Especially in Universal Studios or Disney World. Yeah, I think I talked last week about seeing Terminator 2 3D, the attraction at Universal. Well, where the hell? Yeah, I think that was at Universal, wasn't it? I think so. And I actually saw the Waterworld one as well. I was at Universal in 90, or not 90, 2003. So that's talking about the line for some of these theme rides, and at Universal where they go all out during the waiting in line part. Yeah, I can remember taking that tour, and the Jaws shark actually malfunctioned when we went by the Jaws shark, which I guess was kind of appropriate. And unless that's what happens every time, and it's just a joke because the shark never worked when they were filming the movie, I'm not sure. Fake Shemp Taboo asks, Nate, did you prefer the original Pac-Man over Miss Pac-Man? I don't think as a kid I really cared. I think in general Miss Pac-Man was probably more prevalent because I don't know, it was this, you know, I don't know. I I guess it doesn't really matter to me between Miss Pac-Man or Pac-Man. Do you have a preference? To be honest, as a kid, I probably didn't even notice. But I can remember being at a pizza place in the 80s waiting for a pizza, and one of these Pac-Man machines. I don't remember if it was original or Miss Pac-Man, but it was one of those tabletop ones where it had a controller on each side of it, wherein you had like, you know, you could put your drink on. Oh, didn't you love those things? I can remember playing that at this pizza place probably more than once when we'd go over there and wait for a pizza to be done. The tabletop Pac-Man, and oh, that was so great. There's actually a really cool Pac-Man, a recent Pac-Man game, which is a 4-player game. It's like a tabletop thing, and it's a 4-player all at once, where it's really kind of cool. I don't know if any of you have ever seen it. Where it's like you have to avoid, you know, you can eat not only the ghosts, but you can eat each other. So as a player, you kind of have to watch out for ghosts and the other players. So it's actually really kind of cool. A 4-player tabletop, you know, Pac-Man game from recent years. And then here's another thing for history, 80s video game history. We had an Apple IIc computer in the 80s, and there was a Pac-Man ripoff game called Snack Attack. And it was basically a ripoff of Pac-Man that was called Snack Attack. Same thing, but different. Well, it wasn't nearly as good on Apple IIc in the 80s as the arcade, but it was a Pac-Man ripoff. Verisimilitude 86 says elevator action was the shit, Nate. My dad and I would always try to beat each other's records on it. Yeah, the reason I thought of that is because I talked about, I think maybe last week or in another show, that some of my favorite games, you know, for home consoles are basically PS2 games that I have a collection of old 80s games. And recently, within the past couple of years, I found one that had elevator action in, and I forgot all about that game until I got that. And that one game, I don't know what it's called right now, it's got a lot of the, you know, games that I used to like as a kid from the arcade, you know, and some yeah, elevator action was just fun. Annoying and fun all at once. And then the music in that, it seems to me, is really annoying. Oh, Dig Dug was another one. I don't think I really ever liked Dig Dug, but I used to play it. But the music in elevator action is funny. Fake Shemp Taboos were reacting to a verisimilitude. Sweet. How do they? Oh, he's referring to him watching all those movies at theaters. How do they play the movies? Digital or film prints? Verisimilitude says the voice at the start of Altered Beast says, "Rise from your grave." Scared the shit out of me as a kid. There you go. I can see that. Austin says, "You saw Alien in the theater?" Not in '79. In 2000, when a particular theater was doing a re-showing of it. You know, one of those special occasion things. Austin says, "Did you see Alien 3 through 4 in theaters?" I saw Alien. Well, okay, so I was too young to see the first one in '79, obviously. But as I already said, me and my dad went to see the second one at the drive-in, and I was squeamish at the gory, scary parts. And, you know, 92, I was freaking whatever I was, 15. So, yeah, we saw Alien 3 in the theater. And at the time, you know, for us Alien/Aliens fans, Alien 3 was a disappointment. I mean, I've grown to like it for what it is since, but let's face it, I mean, after Aliens, Alien 3 was kind of a disappointment at the time. And I didn't even by the time Alien Resurrection came out, I didn't even bother seeing it in the theater. I just I don't think I saw that until I got that 4-pack movie collection that came out on DVD, I think in '99. I was talking about that last week. So I didn't bother with the 4th movie in the theater. Austin Wilcott says, random conversations is good. Okay. I'm glad we're enjoying ourselves. He also says, I saw Alien 4 in theaters, first time inside a huge AMC theater. Okay. Yeah, I can only imagine Alien 4 sounded good because it was after like the multi-channel DTS era. But yeah. See, by the time Alien Resurrection came out, I was already kind of getting over a lot of the current trends at the time in movies, and was like, yeah, give me a break. I'll see it on video, and that's what I did. Austin says we just chopped up our girlfriend with the. Oh yeah, that's what I. Okay, does that sound fine? Yeah, when I kept saying fine, I was like, that's from some movie where he says it all. We just chopped up our girlfriend with a chainsaw. Does that sound fine? I don't think he says to you. Thank you for reminding me. Verisimilitude 86 says, Nate, the Evil Dead 2 line is we just hacked our girlfriend up with a chainsaw. Does that sound? Oh, okay. He says it right underneath Austin. Yes, I must be behind in chat here. Fake Shemp Taboo says at Austin, now that reminds me of Ramones' Texas Chainsaw Massacre song. They chopped her up and I don't care. Oh yeah, love that song. Yeah, I'm familiar with that. Austin Wilcott asks, how did you see the first Terminator? This is funny. I talked about it in a past show where, oh, okay, never mind. See, I can't remember for the life of me where I saw trailers or anything for that movie called Eliminators, the Terminator ripoff, but I remember seeing trailers for that, and I wanted to see Eliminators. So my dad rented Terminator in the mid '80s. This is before I was, I was still squeamish and scary, gory parts in movies, and I was kind of hoping, and we wanted, he wanted to see it, and we watched it together, and I was kind of hoping it was Eliminators, and I remember spending the whole movie watching it, hoping that he was going to end up with the tank tracks, which of course never happened because it's the wrong movie, but that's how I first saw Terminator, just home video. My dad rented it, and I watched it with them. And as the movie wore on and became more scary and creepy and everything like that, and gory and stuff, I probably watched less of it. But that's how I first saw Terminator. I saw it when I was still squeamish and didn't look at the scary. I imagine the end when, the skin was peeling off them and stuff kind of creeped me out as a kid. But I do remember towards the end thinking, oh, okay, finally. Now he's going to get his tank tracks because, once all the skin comes off, he can get the tank tracks. But wouldn't be until, I don't know, a couple of years later, I'd actually see, find Eliminators in the video store and see that movie that I meant to see. Fake Shemp Taboo says, in the arcade, I love Mrs. Pac-Man because it was super fast, but I prefer Pac-Man now because I really love is it ColecoVision's port? Yeah, see, I kind of the same way. Like if I was to, want to play either one of them now, all these years later, I'd probably just as soon play the first one just for the posterity or whatever the hell it's called. I can't think of the word. Just for to duh. That's the disadvantage of a live show. Can't cut this stuff out. Austin Wilcott says those old Apple computers looked rough. Yeah, you could probably search Snack Attack on YouTube, Apple II and find what I'm talking about. And some of the games we had on Apple II was, Snack Attack, and you can actually see a clip of Wings of Fury at the end of my review of the movie by the name of Explorers. And there was another one that my mom really liked. I mean, it was archaic. I can't think of it right now. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't even really worth having computers in the 80s. And it's funny because there were some flight simulators that looked very much like that wireframe stuff, and it was just like, the frame rate was like one frame every 3 seconds or something. Oh God. Versimilitude 86 says, anyone remember the arcade game Mappy? My dad was the bee's knees on that. I want to say that game is in that collection I just talked about that has elevator action in it, because that title looks familiar, but I'm not familiar with the game. It's never one I played in the arcade. Austin says Alien 3 was not a hit in US theaters, but it was a huge in the UK. That's why we got part 4. Okay, so they made part 4 for you guys in the UK, huh? I mean, I don't think Austin's in the UK, are you? So they made part 4 for the UK. Yeah, because I can remember the general consensus after, seeing Alien 3, that, oh my God, they screwed that one up. Because you can see I showcased my Alien 3 t-shirt that I got in 92, and I had that. I was wearing it to school before the movie opened, and then after it opened, plus, I think I mentioned in that video where I'm showcasing those old 80s and 90s movie t-shirts, is that I was also, it said Alien 3 on the front, and on the back it said The Bitch Is Back. So obviously I got some teacher, someone saying I turned the shirt inside out. So I probably stopped wearing it anyway because you couldn't wear it right side out. Versimilitude says fake Shemp, they used to be in all prints. Now it's sometimes prints and sometimes digital. Well, that's cool that some theaters are still actually projecting film in Australia there. I don't think you can find a theater around here, or at least where I am, that does that anymore. Guess I'm not looking. Austin Wilcott says my AMC theater had some killer DTS surround. Yeah. Yep. Especially in like the 90s when it just started. I think the reason it sounded so amazing to us then is because it was like new, Mr. Tight White says, wow, you're still streaming. Ha ha ha. I streamed Sega Rally for over an hour or two on my channel. I thought this would be over. Yeah, we're about 3 hours and 17 minutes into it. We're probably not going to go that much longer. I don't know. Chat's slowing down. 5 people here. What's your favorite horror movie to have on Laserdisc? Any rare ones? I mentioned earlier in the show that I've got a pretty rare one, I would imagine, is the Vestron video release on Laserdisc of Last House on the Left, which I should make a video on this year. I've already made a video last year. I've got the original Laserdisc of My Bloody Valentine, 1981, which I imagine is pretty rare, not to mention, all the Friday 13th films, 1 through 8. I'm going to have to dig through, like I say, this year, more of the Laserdisc, and try to make videos about the more rare ones. But those are some of the ones that can come to mind. I mean, I've got The Carpenter on Laserdisc, and not that that's, I don't know, any good. Might be rare, but maybe not good. Austin says, did you have T2 on Laserdisc? I did. See, okay, so T2 was a huge case of like buying and rebuying and rebuying and rebuying that movie. So on video, I was, as a kid who had 2 VCRs, a teenager who had 2 VCRs in the early 90s, I was ecstatic when I discovered that the VHS of Terminator 2, the original VHS, was not copy protected. So I just dubbed that mother effer and watched it and watched it and watched it, the copied version. And then at some point on VHS, they put out like I want to say it was a double feature with Terminator 1 and 2, but they were like the widescreen versions on VHS. So I got that. And then later on, I don't think I got T2 on Laserdisc though until, I didn't, because I can only assume there was they originally put out the theatrical version on Laserdisc first, but the one version I do have of T2 on Laserdisc is I don't know what they call it, the extended version. So I've got the Laserdisc of the T2 extended version. I remember the artwork on that. It's really cool. It's like the cover's got, that classic James Cameron blue light and like Terminator and, John and Sarah all like standing in a pose or something. So I've got I think the only T2 on Laserdisc is that extended version, which I think was the first time. I can't remember. It seemed like it came out on VHS also, so I don't know. But that's the only T2 I have on Laserdisc. Austin also says I have Eliminators on Blu-ray. It's out of print too. Yeah, I can only assume you're talking about the double feature with Dungeon Master as well. I'm glad I got that while it was still in print, I'll tell you that. Will Powell says, Talking Terminator 2, I remember renting that on VHS. That's the first time I saw it, probably at about 10. Even then, I thought I liked the first one better. I miss Kyle Reese. Yeah, in case anyone doesn't know, Will Powell's a big fan of the first movie for reasons I can completely understand. I mean, because it's much more of a horror movie and much, really, well, the first Terminator is definitely its own thing compared to the second one. And it's interesting how the same guy can make both of them, and yet the second one's so different. But yeah, so for anyone who is like, "What the hell are you talking about?" That's where Will Powell's coming from in regards to he likes the first one better, and for reasons I can understand. I mean, I think for me, I don't know. I probably like them both the same for the strengths that each one has on its own, And then he says T2 is still awesome though. Yeah, so they each have their own merits. But the first Terminator is almost like its own genre. Like it's sci-fi / action / horror / thriller. It's almost like its own genre, that first movie. Okay, yeah, see, Austin Wilcutt says, no, I'm in the US. Yeah, that's what I thought. Matt says, nothing beats the surround in the movie theater. That's true, except I've got a pretty good 5.1 myself, but it seems like, I don't know, the sound in movie theaters, I don't know. It depends on the theater, I guess, but yeah, I mean, something that became very common for me was to bring earplugs to movie theaters, and because, like I say, I don't know, it's like as I get older, the senses are more sensitive, but I think I mentioned last week or at some past show that I'm just so grateful that I brought earplugs to the showing of Rambo 4, because even with earplugs in, that was loud. I can't imagine without the earplugs. Mr. Tight White says, nice man, referring to my rare laser discs. He says, I found the Keep on Laserdisc at Goodwill for $1.99. Isn't it so fun to find? Yeah, I got a Friday the 13th Laserdisc I showcased on my channel. The first movie I got for like $3 at half price. And then last year I showcased this, probably the first Laserdisc of Alien that ever came out. I think it was from '82 or something that I got for like $3. It's so fun to find these. Of course, now I don't go there anymore, but it was so fun to find these obscure old Laserdiscs of these old horror movies that people think are just worth nothing, when it's like, no, these are really cool. So, like I say, my plan is to go through Laserdisc collection, and make more videos about some of the more cool, rare things. So those are cool finds. And how cool is the prices? So, Mr. Tight White, do you have a Laserdisc player, or do you just collect them for the sake of collecting them. Either way is fine. Matt says, I remember watching Joker in the theater and literally thought there were people talking in the next door theater for like 10 seconds till I realized I was just the surround. Oh, yeah, in the movie. Oh, okay, so the movie Joker, I see. He also says, and since it was in New York City, you'd have to be that kind of, you'd have that kind of sound. I don't know, was mind blowing. He says, because the speaker with the people talking like through a room, it sounded like it was on the far left speaker because they use that 7.1 surround now. I think IDK is, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the hell they use now. It's Atmos and all this shit. For me at home, 5.1 is all anyone needs. You've got one in each corner and one in the center to keep stuff on the screen centralized. I've never gone any further, any past beyond 5.1. And Austin says something I can completely agree with. T2 had way too many releases. Yeah, I want to say that, I can't remember if I got the extended version widescreen on tape as well, but I'll definitely agree with that. Way too many releases. But I think I've got a widescreen version of the first and second movie together, and they're in this box that I think has a holographic image on the front or something. I should showcase that. There's a lot of stuff I got that people probably have no idea that it ever existed, that they might get a kick out of. I'll try to do that this year. What's great about the showcasing of the showcasing videos where I just show DVDs, VHS, or Laserdiscs is they're so simple to do and people love them. I can work my ass off to watch a movie, take notes, and try to remember or talk about everything that's on the notes and do all this and that, and I only get 3 people watch it, and bust my ass doing a 30-minute movie review. I'll get more views on a 5-minute video just me showing the Laserdisc. I mean, I guess it's not all about views, but when you put work into something, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying. Matt says, and the fact that the speaker was so far away from me in the theater, it felt like real as fuck. Like I really did think people were just chatting away in the next theater over. Yeah, sounds too good. Austin says, I had the 2-tape set of T1, T2 as well, but mine was 4:3 ratio. Yeah, the reason I bought it is because it was widescreen. Little did I know at the time that I was disappointed actually when I got the widescreen tape of T2 because I didn't know about that whole super 35 millimeter stuff that he was using, where it's basically the quote unquote full frame pan and scan version of T2 actually works okay because you're seeing more of top and bottom, and then and only missing a little on the sides. So I was disappointed when I got the widescreen T2 tape to realize, I wasn't missing all that much on the non-widescreen version, but that's okay. That's how you learn. Austin says, I have Laserdisc of T2 theatrical cut with gatefold. Interesting. Yeah, see, I don't know if I've ever seen that because, like I say, all I've got is the extended Laserdisc, which I'm pretty sure the second or the Laserdisc I got of it's gatefold too because it's 2 discs for that movie, especially extended. So it opens up, and I'm sure that I can't remember what's inside, but I just remember the cover of that Laserdisc looks great. Verisimilitude says my dad and I would dub videotapes from the video store all the time. We ended up with a huge collection. Yeah, I mean, I dubbed stuff too that wasn't copy protected, and even if I was desperate, even if it was, I would just because the picture would improve briefly every now and then. I was always, in the 90s and stuff, so glad when something wasn't protected. I'm like, oh yeah. I think we talked about this in a past show. From my experience, no Paramount tapes in the 90s were ever copy protected, and like Columbia TriStar was never copy protected. And like most most oftentimes Universal always was, Fox always was, and I was so excited in '91 when I tried to record Predator 2, and for some reason that wasn't protected. I'm like, okay, they just missed it or they gave us a break. I don't know. Austin says, I have a CBS Fox pan and scan laserdisc of Predator and the first two Alien films. Very cool. Will Powell says, technically the second one is a better film. It's slicker, the effects are better, referring to Terminator 2. The music is more timeless, but there's something about that first movie that has haunted my nightmares and stuck. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree because, like I said, as a kid, the first Terminator freaked me out. And it's like, it's an action sci-fi horror movie, and it takes place mostly at night. It just really makes it scary. Mr. Tight White says, I have 6 Laserdisc players, ha ha ha, including a Pioneer Laser Active with all new what is that word? Capacitors. She's a beast and plays Sega Genesis, Sega Master System with adapters, Sega CD, PC Engine, and laser games. Okay. Well, I guess you've got something to watch Laserdisc on. Very cool. Austin says, I bought quite a bit of Scream Factory out of print Blu-rays last year. The Dark Half, Pumpkinhead 2, Monkey Shines, The Curse double feature. Well, that's cool. Now, I think they, on their site, if someone follows their site, which I don't, they do that. Bleh, they do the courtesy of letting people know in advance when something's about to go out of print. So is that how you grab stuff before it goes out of print, or you just happen to do it anyway? Austin says, I have the Hellraiser 3 unrated, Laserdisc 2, and the 2 image releases of part 1 and 2. Well, that's cool. Verisimilitude said we had a way of getting around copy protection with an old VHS player. Well, that's cool. I mentioned before in the show that I had a VCR that kind of did the same thing. It's like the only VCR I've ever had that could record a copy protected movie, and it wouldn't really get all crappy. But I didn't get that until '92, so I wasn't doing much movie dubbing for much longer. Because just 2 years later, I'd get a Laserdisc player, and of course, I can only assume all Laserdiscs are. I don't think there's one single copy protected Laserdisc, which was one cool thing about them. From my experience, I never ran across a Laserdisc that was copy protected. So Austin says, yes, I saw them listed in their 2020 going out of print list. Yeah, that's nice that they do that anyway. That's probably a good place to visit from time to time. Do you buy it from them or just on Amazon or somewhere else? You can get that info from them, and then a person can always buy it somewhere else. Fake Shemp Taboo signing out. Thanks, Nate. Catch you all later. Thank you very much for, God, I think you might have been here the whole time since we started. Thank you very much. He might be gone already. But if he's not, thank you very much for stopping by. Okay, so we're at 3 minutes and 3 hours and 32 minutes in at this point. Why don't we say we can go at least, we'll see what things are like at in 15 minutes. Well, it's actually 13 minutes at 3 hours and 45 minutes because things are slowing down here. We've got 4 people. So we'll see where things are. We've been going a long time here. We'll see what things are like at 3 hours and 45 minutes. Verisimilitude 86 says, I'm a huge Terminator fan. I love 1 and 2 equally. I remember seeing part 2 in the theater as a kid, and the ending choked me up and still does to this day every time I watch it. Yeah, I think we talked about that last week, about the ending and the choking up effect it has, the ending of part 2. Or Terminator is not called part 2, Terminator 2. Yeah, because it's TP2 after all. Austin Wilcott says, keep going. Yeah, when did you show up? I don't remember. You probably were late again. Oh my God. Well, I'm going to have to start charging people to stay later then. That's something I can do. Okay, Austin, what's your PayPal? Or, yeah, you want me to stay? It'll cost you. He has too many questions. Can you remember when you showed up, Austin? It seems like you've been here for a while. Remember, every week we start at Thursday. We start at Thursday. We start Thursday. Yeah, you can tell I've been doing this for too long. At 1 p.m. Central. Yeah, I'm pretty much the same way. I mean, I can't decide what I like better, Terminator 1 or 2. So, they each have their own strengths. Austin says, I have too many questions. I'm just eating. Hard to type right now. So it looks like he might have showed up at 47 minutes after the show started. So you've been here for a long time. What, you've been eating the whole time? Let me just walk away for 1 second. Austin says, I like Terminator 1 more these days. Same with Alien. I've always liked Alien more than Aliens, but I I'd say right now for me T1 and 2 are kind of equal. Austin says no, just fix something. I don't know if I can't imagine Summerhill's still with us. He usually says goodbye, but before he leaves, that's okay. Not a whole lot of interaction with him, but that's okay. There's other things in life than this show. Will Powell asks Austin Wilcott, I'm with you, bro. I've also grown to appreciate Alien more than Aliens. Yeah, I mean, I know when we were kids and teenagers and stuff, it was all about, Aliens for the kick-ass aspect of it. But after I got that Laserdisc that I showcased last year, I was like, yeah, Alien is so great. Similitude 86 says Cameron is a genius to make us cry for a robot that was the villain in the original movie. Yeah, that's a really good point. Talk about a manipulator. He's a master manipulator. Austin Wilcott says Predator 2 is more popular these days. Huh, I didn't know that. I mean, I always thought Predator had the status of being the shit. So, more Predator 2 is more popular with like what? With who? What age group are we talking about? 20 somethings now or 30 somethings? Will Powell says Aliens is still great, of course. Oh, I'm not taking away from Aliens. Just like with Terminator 1 and 2, it's, Alien and Aliens are each their own beasts. They do their own, they do their each thing the way each of them do. Yeah, you can tell I've been doing this a long time. I can't talk. They do their own thing well. Austin says it's weird we didn't get Aliens theatrical cut on DVD until 2003. Yeah, I can't even remember. I don't remember. Huh. I can only assume you're correct, though. I mean, to be honest, I don't know. Do you prefer the theatrical to extended? Like, I don't think I ever watched theatrical since extended came out, but that's okay if you prefer it to extended. Verisimilitude says I've never liked Predator 2 much. I think Sly should have been the star of that movie. That would have been fun. I remember liking Predator 2 when it came out on home video, but I just watched it recently and it's just like, God, it's so funny how you can love something as a teenager and as an adult it just doesn't hold up. I'm not saying Predator 2 is no good, but I don't know. Yeah, having Arnold be in the first one and Danny Glover, I don't know. Austin says Predator 1 is still more popular, but Predator 2 has grown a bigger audience these days. Okay, well, I know NECA's making like Predator 2 figures and stuff. Don't get me wrong, I like things about Predator 2. It's just Verisimilitude says, Nate, how do you rank the Rocky and Rambo franchises? I'm not so familiar with Rocky movies. I own the Blu-ray collection and I watched them all once, but I'm not very familiar with the Rocky movies. I don't know. When you say how do I rank them, what do you mean? Like which ones do I like the most? I can't really do that with the first or with the Rockies because I don't. I mean, I know obviously if I were to rank which ones of Rockies I like best, the first one's probably my favorite. I can't remember anything after that. I mean, I like the first one and his last one, Rocky Balboa, quite a bit. I can't remember anything in between. As far as the Rambo movies, as far as my ranking them would be, I mean, I think the Rambo movies for me pretty much just are really easy because I like the first one the best, second one the second best, third one the third best, fourth one the fourth best, fifth one the fifth best. So for me, the Rambo movies just get worse as they go on. Austin says, I remember people hating on the Predator Ultimate Hunter Edition Blu-ray. Yeah, I remember that. But I don't know. I know that there was a really grainy movie. Did there ever come out a Blu-ray or anything of Predator that restored the grain? Because I'm a grain guy. Austin says, I prefer both versions of Aliens equally. Okay. Same with Alien. Yeah, you might have been you who asked a while back if which version of Alien I like more, and I like the theatrical cut. Austin says, I do think Alien 3 Assembly Cut is a superior version to its theatrical or theater cut. Yeah, I think we were talking about this before. There are things that were cool to see about it. I don't remember the extended Alien 3 enough to talk about it. Will Powell says Gremlins 2 is underrated. There is, I think he meant there, I said it. Ha ha. So I don't know if you're serious. I don't know. I don't know if you're serious or not, but I just saw Gremlins 2 last year again for the first time, probably since 91. And oh my God, if Gremlins 2 might be one of the, and personally for me, one of the worst sequels ever. One thing I liked about it was that smart gremlin. I thought that was a cool touch, that's talking like some kind of, genius professor or whatever. That was the one thing about Gremlins 2 that I liked. Everything else I didn't really like, but I don't know. If you like it, that's fine. I think you were joking. It's hard to tell with words. Verisimilitude says, yeah, best to worst. Yeah, I can only assume you heard my ranking of the Rambo movies. And Rocky 2 through 5, I don't know. I don't remember well enough to rank them. I know I like Rocky 1 and Rocky Balboa a lot. But in between, I don't know well enough to rank them. Because those movies, I didn't really watch much as a kid or teenager or anything. Austin says, yes, the 4K of Predator restored the grain. Well, figures. That doesn't help us non-4K people. Is there a Blu-ray version of that 4K scan that's available to us people who refuse to partake in 4K players and discs? Verisimilitude says Gremlins 2 is decent. It was the right way to go with the sequel. I dug the new Gizmo Mountain Dew ad. Well, that's cool. As I've said before, all of us have different tastes. Austin says Gremlins 3 is getting made. Oh, man. Austin says Rocky 5 is a mess. Yeah, I think I can remember that. 5 is kind of like the one that's regarded as maybe the worst or something. Austin says, I think there might be a Blu-ray version of the Predator 4K, but you'd have to double check on that. Okay. Yeah, I'd hate to buy another version only to get the version I have. Verisimilitude says Sly and Arnold should have worked together in the 80s. Yeah, that's true. They were so, problem is they were each so big on their own that that would have never happened. The movie would have cost way too much to make. Austin says I haven't seen the Creed movies. Yeah, I don't have any interest in the Creed movies. It is, I do like the fact though that he, that Rocky plays the trainer role. That aspect is cool. I mean, from what I understand, he plays the trainer role. You know what else I'm just remembering now that we're talking about Rambo movies is, I don't know if any of you know how I feel about Rambo. What the hell is it? Last Blood, but to keep it short, I thought Last Blood was mostly just crap. But what turns out they did on Amazon Prime, probably other streaming services, that there's actually an extended cut of Rambo Last Blood on streaming services, and it like restores the scene from the beginning that was completely not in the theatrical version. And I think the extended version of Last Blood actually makes a, not an amazingly better movie, but definitely I would say is the better version of Last Blood. And I'm really hoping that Rambo Last Blood can come out on Blu-ray and not just remain on streaming. Anyone familiar with it? Austin says Arnold and Sly were originally supposed to do Face Off. Huh. I wasn't aware of that. Verisimilitude says, Nate, have you seen Bruce Lee's movies? I not a whole lot of them. I own whatever the hell his last movie or whatever is on DVD. Enter the Dragon, I think. So I guess I'm not the biggest Bruce Lee fan in the world. Verisimilitude says Last Blood is pretty bad except for the last 15 minutes. Exactly. I bought the Blu-ray of the normal theatrical cut on Amazon because it, like in December or something, because it was like $5 or something. So I haven't opened it though. But I remember being surprised and impressed that when they have an extended version on Prime of Last Blood with a whole quote unquote action scene at the beginning of him saving some people trapped in a flood or something. It's kind of I don't know, it's kind of a cool scene, kind of a dumb scene because it's like a computer generated flood scene. So it's like, is this better in the movie or not? I don't know. But if you saw promotional stills with, Rambo in the cowboy hat for Last Blood and you never saw him in the movie with that, that's why, because it's in that scene that took place at the beginning where he's saving some people in the mountains from a flood or something. It seems to me there were other little things that were also in the extended version of Last Blood, which made it a little better than the theatrical version. Austin asks, do you have Jurassic Park on Laserdisc? I actually got two versions, both versions of Laserdisc. Actually, there's probably a third one I can only assume that I don't have. I can only assume there was a full frame version, but I don't have that. I've got the CLV widescreen version and then the deluxe CAV widescreen version of Jurassic Park on Laserdisc. I should really showcase those this year. So I can, like I say, I can only assume there would have been a full frame version of Jurassic Park on Laserdisc, but of course, why would I want to buy that? Austin says, which cut of Blade Runner do you prefer? I mean, I think Final Cut is okay. I guess that, I used to like the narration, but I think it's probably better without the narration. I'd say Final Cut is okay. To be honest, I'm not. How many versions are there? Is it 3 or 4? To be honest, I don't know if I can, sitting here right now, differentiate between all of the versions, but I'm fine with Final Cut. Okay, well, one thing I know for sure, I'm sorry, Austin, but I'm not going to go past 4 hours. That's a max for me. So I'm sorry to say you're going to have to get all your questions in. We're just approaching 3 hours and 49 minutes of the show. So I'll give you until, I don't know, 3:59, like last week. And you can save your questions for next week. Verisimilitude asks, have you seen Cobra Kai? It's a very well made show and very faithful to the Karate Kid. I've heard that, and it seems to be getting a lot of favorable praise. I've never been a fan of Karate Kid, so I'm not so no, I haven't. But I'm glad for the fans of Karate Kid that they're doing that show, because it seems to be doing really well. And it makes me wish I was a fan of Karate Kid, because, you know, but I'm not, I'm afraid. Isn't there talk of even bringing the what the hell's her name, Elizabeth Shue, in for like the 3rd season or something, because she was in the Karate Kid movie? That's really cool if they do that. It's like they keep, the show is doing better and better, so they keep dragging more and more of the original cast in. So about 9 minutes to go on the show, everyone, just to let you know. Austin says, or asks, have you seen Toby Hooper's The Mangler? Yeah, feel free to check out my review of it on the channel. That can be my short answer to save time. Austin also says, I like theatrical cut of Blade Runner for its 80s-ness. Yeah, I mean, for me, I think each cut has is fine, it's just like kind of how do you feel at the time. But I do think as time goes on that taking the narration out is probably best, but at the same time, it's kind of fun too. So I don't think, I think, oh my God, he says there's 5 cuts of Blade Runner. Jesus Christ. I think each cut has its own, I didn't know that, has its own funness to it. So, but Final Cut to me is okay. I mean, I'd say all the cuts are fine. Austin asks, do you have Pumpkinhead Scream Factory Blu-ray? No, I do not. Verisimilitude says, I never cared for Blade Runner, but strangely like Part 2. Oh, that's a bummer. Blade Runner is beyond classic, but that's okay. And I never said anything about it on this channel, but I was so impressed with the second Blade Runner movie. It's almost, I should really do a review about it. I'd almost go so far to say is the second one's better than the first one, which is something I never thought would have been possible. But to agree with, kind of your sentiment about the first movie, let's face it, I mean, the first one looks amazing, but maybe there's not so much else going on with the first one beyond that. Whereas the second one, oh my God, I was so impressed with that. I never talked about it, but I should. Austin asks, favorite cut of Army of Darkness? Yeah, I've got the Scream Factory version, and I want to say the shit, I can't remember. I think it's the whatever one Sam Raimi likes, with the extra business in the windmill, and the one where he sleeps too late. So I think it's probably the Sam Raimi director cut, probably, because I like the extra business in the windmill, and I like the one where he sleeps too late. But at the same time, the theatrical ending of Army of Darkness is fun. But it's probably the Sam Raimi director's cut, I think, is what it's called. Verisimilitude, referring to Elizabeth Shue or whatever the hell her name is. Yeah, they put her in season 3 already. Austin Wilcutt says it's cool. Scream Factory put unrated cut of Mangler on the Blu-ray. Oh, okay. That is good. He also says the workprint of Blade Runner is the 5th version. Oh, okay. So it's technically 4 versions. Austin says, do you have the Criterion of Blade Runner? I can't remember. I think I do. I don't know if that ever came out in CAV. I'm pretty sure if I do have it, it's just CLV, one disc. I think I do have the Criterion Blade Runner because I wanted the. Doesn't that have the narration on it? I can't remember. Austin says Blade Runner 2049 was pretty heavy stuff, impressive sequel. I was so impressed with the second Blade Runner movie. So impressed I've been too intimidated to even do a review about it in case anyone wonders why I never did. Matt says another 4-hour stream, baby. Yeah, Austin wants me to stay longer, but I gotta end it probably in 5 minutes because I'm dead. I gotta eat something. Austin always wants me to stay later. Well, I'm gonna have to start charging Austin the big bucks. Austin says, yeah, I like the director's cut of Army of Darkness is best in my opinion. Also the silver color filter on it better. Yeah, I like director's cut. It's got the extra business in the windmill and the ending that I like, where he sleeps too late. Verisimilitude says, do you like Teen Wolf with Michael J. Fox? I don't, not particularly. Austin says the Criterion is the international cut with the narration as well. I'm pretty sure I have that because I wanted a version with the narration, but it also has the gore that was cut for the theatrical North American version. I'm pretty sure I do. Matt says you should do an all-nighter stream. Yeah. I don't stay up late much anymore. Otherwise, that'd be a good option. Start at night and go till morning. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, so that would suit you better because you wouldn't have to wake up for these afternoon ones. Yeah, probably about 4 minutes, guys, or 3.5 minutes left of me. I'm dead. Reading chat for 4 hours is exhausting, and my voice is dead. Well, thank you, everyone who's still here, for showing up for it once again. Austin says the eye gouging was cool in Blade Runner. Yeah. Gotta love the eye gouging. Verisimilitude says I like the look of Blade Runner, but that's about it. But that's it. But like you said, part 2 is very impressive. I could not believe it when I saw part 2, how it was better. But at the same time, like we're saying, well, I mean, what's great about the first one is its look, really, and the music. Austin says, do you have the Lawnmower Man Scream Factory Blu-ray? I did end up getting that previously viewed, yeah. So I do have it. And like so many other things, I've been meaning to review the movie in that release as well, but I never got around to it. And don't think if you keep asking questions, you're going to make me accidentally stay longer than I intend to, because I'm going to leave in a couple minutes here, everyone, I'm afraid. Matt says, do you like Sinister? I thought the first one was surprisingly okay. I don't like the second one. If you're talking about the movie, I thought the first one was surprisingly okay. Austin says the Nest Scream Factory Blu-ray is another out-of-print disc. I don't think I like that. Isn't that movie about the bugs or whatever? Verisimilitude says, catch you later, Nate. Take care until next week. Yeah, might as well say our goodbyes now because I'm out of here in a couple minutes. Thank you very much for showing up. That says the guy who was going to be on only for a little bit. He's with us for 4 hours. That's awesome. Matt says, yeah, the first one I liked. Yeah, if you haven't seen the second one, don't bother. Austin says, which cut of Lawnmower Man do you prefer? I don't remember. I don't really remember. I'm so dead right now. I can't even really think much anymore. You want to just say? I'm not so familiar with that. I think I like the extended one of that because the theatrical is just so abbreviated. It's ridiculous. Matt says second one looked bad, so I didn't watch it. Regarding Sinister, good. Austin says yes. The giant roaches. Yeah, I'm not big on roaches, so I'm not big on that movie. Matt says it's a shame because a sequel to Sinister could have been really good. There was no reason for that sequel to suck. Oh well. It did. All right, guys. Why don't we say our goodbyes? About a minute left. Thank you very much for showing up as I stretch. Been sitting here for 4 hours. Catch you guys next week if you're so inclined to join me. It's been fun. Austin says bug 1975 is disturbing too. I don't mind that one because it's not so creepy. Pat says stay safe out there, Nate. You do so as well. And if we're all live next Thursday, maybe we can do this again. It's been a hoot. Until next time, take care.